Okay, I think we're up and running.
Captions, everything?
Captions and everything.
All righty. Motion to call the meeting to order. Is there a second?
A second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, is there any board member who has a conflict of interest or any disclosure regarding the agenda items before us?
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not. Okay, with that being said, could the clerk please read the open meeting compliance certification or give us cliff notes?
I'm fine with the Cliff Notes
It's really long.
version. We'll start with speakers must give their name, address, and organization. There shall be an exemption from any category of people protected by New York State law. And this applies to on Zoom, and we have nobody there, but if you are on Zoom, please raise your hand or put your question in the Q&A. If you put your question in Q&A, I will ask the board your question. If you raise your hand, you get to speak to the board direct. And let's see, and let's just try to be nice to each other tonight and move along.
Okay, with that being said, let us all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay. Is there anybody who has public comment before we begin?
I have one public comment. I just wanted to make everybody.
Name and address, please.
About Robert Corby, 7 Washington Avenue. Mary Bodum, who served for decades on the village planning board, recently is in hospice care. She's had a severe stroke, and which she won't be around much longer. But Mary did seminal work on the planning board, professionalizing the review of that board, and exhibited extraordinary leadership through the 1980s and through much of the 1990s. So I just wanted to make everybody aware.
Thanks so much, and our prayers go out. That's really difficult. Anybody online, Dorothea?
No.
Okay. Next up, our department reports.
We were skipping the department.
Yeah, you guys are going to be, because, yeah. DPW and our building inspector, they're in a conference this week, so we'll move them to the next meeting, yeah.
You're not skipping me.
Not skipping you.
We have bills to pay. Are there any
Yep,
questions,
you got a few
concerns
things.
regarding the bills?
Yep, so y'all take a look at our bill pay. Yep.
Actual small one for a change.
Yeah, it is. Is there a motion or a question?
I make a motion to approve the bill pay. For a second?
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
And then, is there any questions? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to locate, Dorothy, is that towards the end of our packet, or where is the, I just want to pull this up. I've only got I've got this page
To the
here.
abstract?
I've got I guess the abstract. Where is the
Was
actual?
it sent separately?
I just
I
like to pull it
think,
up quickly.
Yeah.
I apologize. I had a family emergency.
Oh, that's fine.
It's spread since Friday.
Oh.
I wonder if Alexandra grabbed the wrong.
I think I
She
got
might
it.
have-
I
You
just
might have
wanna-
gotten it in your printout.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure that if we're
I
approving
know,
it.
no, I know.
You actually
We
need to
know I
review.
Yeah,
did.
because I got to print out.
Can I ask the board then to delay approval until Thursday?
And then
If you
we'll just
wouldn't
send it
mind.
out.
Thank
Oh,
you.
no,
Yeah,
of
no.
course.
Absolutely not. You haven't had it to review. I wouldn't
Yeah,
expect
I mean,
you
we
to.
reviewed it internally, but you
And
need to see it
I was going to
too.
print out, so.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so we're
If
gonna
the
defer
board's
that.
okay with that. I
Okay, so we're going to
apologize.
table that motion. Okay. Next, what else do we have?
I really have nothing else at the moment.
Okay. Do we want to switch over to the clerk's report?
I have nothing
Nothing.
under the clerk's report.
Nothing else.
No, the whole enchilada, okay.
If we really need this approved, we can maybe look at the end of the meeting.
If there's time, I'll go get it for the board.
Yeah, if there's time
you
at the
want
end,
to
sure.
see how quickly we go.
It's not a big bill pay either.
It's not a big showhead. We've had much bigger.
Yeah, okay, so next up, then we're going to go into meeting items, the Arboretum 2024 projects.
Thank you again for your time tonight.
we just kind of figured that we've had the time to read through the stuff that was here, and obviously we spoke about it at the last meeting, Jim White, 11 steps and circling, we got by.
I think this new item, though, was one of the addresses of the connecting trails to the towpath.
Right, let's, just get through the first numbers,
Okay.
they've all had the longest time to look at.
Yes.
I think either those are yays or nays, and we can move on from there. So, starting with 1A, Atlantis mitigation, and having the village take care of bringing in some of the necessary required herbicides. Someone to treat it, whether you hire that function out or do it in-house, that obviously we're saying is your decision.
Yeah, we're not here to do that in-house, and that's why it's going out to bid. And so PRISM is reviewing the RFP.
Okay,
They're working with us. That was what was agreed upon.
okay.
I do want to say that, and I think, Dorothea, were you able to take a look? Because we were
Yep.
reviewing, the ARPA funds and where the ARPA funds were going and what we had used to date. And I believe that the mitigation, the 17,000 that was approved was for removal of invasives throughout the village. Just so you know that it wasn't exclusively for the Arboretum, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be used that way. It's just when the motion was made and passed.
It was for village-wide and arboretum invasive removal, and the amount was 15,000.
Oh, 15, not 17.
And it was hopefully to be in conjunction with grants or anything that
Right,
we found for the
right.
project.
So there's a consideration just in terms of how the motion was made, what, last year or the year before?
January of '23.
Okay, yeah, Bob.
Question. One of the reasons we're bringing this up now is because there's a seasonal component and time is of the essence.
Mhm.
So if, for example, in your process, you're unable to apply herbicide this spring,
Mhm.
then we should have some remedial strategy to maintain that area so those
Mhm.
Atlantis trees don't come back.
Mhm.
Now, we could go in there with a weedy whacker or something, because if you, unlike knotweed, if you deprive Atlantis of leaves, you will kill it. And I've done that numerous times. We can do that, but somehow we don't want to lose the progress that's been made there. And so
Totally
we want to
agree.
work with you to.
No, totally agree. I mean, I think we're all on the same page.
Okay.
And so I think that the RFP is going to be turned around pretty quickly. They're just going to take a look and tweak it, and then it's going to go right out. So,
Right.
Once I get it back, I'll get the board approval to send it out, and we'll set the
Yeah.
dates up.
yeah, so that would probably be, hopefully next week, to be
Okay.
honest with you. Or, no, it would be our next week.
Well, it
That's
would
it.
have to be by next.
It'd be our
budget.
next,
Our next budget.
I know, that's all we've been
Next
doing.
week, next regular village.
Next regular
board
meeting, not
The
next week.
26th.
Yeah, thank you.
Because one of the other things, and I have an Eagle Scout that I walked around this weekend to talk about some potential new projects to be done in the Arboretum. And a brainstorm I had, the area where we cleared those trees lends itself to doing an overlook with a bench, because you get a great view of the wetland next to it.
Mhm.
So I think we'll probably come back to you at some point, because this would be a great way to use part of the gravel pile that's still up in the meadow, is to have a loop path that would connect the existing trail, go over to the edge of the bank, and then potentially have a site for a bench in the future. And it's a wonderful spot to view the wetland.
Yeah, these are all, thanks for, putting together this list of all the projects. And I think this is something really that would be kind of great to put forward with the community, maybe do a little community workshop and, everybody kind of weigh in on that. I think that'd be kind of a nice way to go. Because we have yet to do that, so, yeah.
I have a question about the signs. Thank you, the sign looks beautiful, the one that this one right here. But in here, you're asking, are you asking the village board for $4,000 to $5,000 to bring these sites to fruition?
Well, yeah, we're basically trying to say this is what makes sense, a good step on what should be done at this point, given the age of the Arboretum and its development. So there's a proposal for you that at least it went through our screening process. We've even looked deeper into the lettering and where it says "and wildlife."
There's some refinements we would do to that design.
Sure.
What we wanted to give you was something, a tool, so you have
to
a
work
ballpark
with, yeah.
number for a sign.
Yeah.
And, having, as long as I was mayor, I realized the realities of budgeting, that we don't expect, 5 signs this year, but at least you have a number that you can use in your planning to go forward with.
And is there a plan of where the signs would go? Did I miss that?
Well, what we would hope eventually is that we have a sign at each entrance into the Arboretum. So that would be one along Village Lane, one along the Auburn Trail where the Hillside Trail leaves, and one off of Frog Pond Trail where that trail leaves. And we hope eventually, if we can get approval and get a design that's safe and meets your satisfaction, a trail, a sign on the towpath next to the new towpath connecting trail.
And then in terms of pricing, we certainly threw it out to the sign company and said, okay,
About what it would cost.
if we buy two, we know ultimately we're probably going to need four, we can store one for a year or whatever. And so what's the pricing going to look? So that should be a pretty good idea, give or take installation.
Now, I thought I heard last time that you guys had somebody else that was going to donate some money for the sign, or did I hear correctly?
We have someone that wants to donate some money for plantings and for trees. We actually have now 2 people that have expressed an interest in doing that, and we've got to follow up with that to get specifics, which of course we'll bring to you.
Yeah, because that's something I was going to bring up for a lot of projects in the village. Like, do we have an opportunity for residents to make donations to projects that they would like to see?
There's always an opportunity,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because I think that there's probably
always an
lots of
opportunity.
people that would like to donate to different
And
things.
that'd be another, again, getting back to the idea of holding, a community workshop. It would engage the community in a way that they could understand that they could participate as well,
Or
and
if I
maybe donate or,
support anything,
become part of this as well. So I think to really open it up that way and talk
Sure.
about all these projects that, that are proposed here and bring it back to the entire community, I think would be really, really helpful.
Right,
And
for
I'm
additional
sure you'd want to
support.
do that, because it's an exciting thing.
We've seen where something, if we get to where we have some of our master plans that can be agreed to,
Mhm.
this era going forward is a bench donation plan. Someone wants to remember someone. Well, then what we do is we pull out the plan and say, we have a future of 10 sites that have been pre-selected. Do you want to pick one out? And this is the style bench so that it's.
Sure, and we have a bench donation program, so they can really
Right.
dovetail with that. But a master
Exactly.
plan, just getting back to the use of the language master plan, that would include some of the things that you're looking for here, like additional trails.
Mhm.
And that, to do a master plan, that's, I think, what we were all talking about. Let's open this up to the community and
Right.
engage our residents and talk about that, okay? Because that's kind of the big stuff with, what's left, the green
Right.
space, the public land,
And
so.
I think there are a lot of that are passionate about the Arboretum that
Yeah.
probably would donate extra funds for some of the projects.
We do have 100 people that are.
I know you're doing, you have a lot of volunteer hours,
I
absolutely.
mean, not
Yep, we
not
totally
to
understand that,
minimize,
totally understand
we
that.
have engaged the public, and we have.
Well, I'd like our government to engage the public.
Yeah,
Our
to help
government.
you, to help
Yes,
support
and
that.
we appreciate the work you guys are
Turn
doing.
this over to you as best we can.
Yeah.
Understood,
And-
understood.
If I may speak. One of the things, as you know, in any comprehensive plan, we've typically done an informational session so that if there's a workshop, the public has an education on the issues that are engaged. We would offer, because we have already done the research and we know the history and the original vision that was approved by the village board, to give a public tour as part of a workshop to show what's the geology, what's the history, what's the hydrology, what's the ecology, and what's the potential for that area based on the soil types and all the other knowledge that we
We
have.
one year Saturday morning, we started here and then take a walk. So,
I guess I'm looking at the opportunity for more financial support, to have people donate financially so that there can be other means of support to, to justify or to put forward some of these projects that we may not be able to get to this year or maybe not next year because of the budget, but maybe other donations could help us move forward a little bit faster. That's all I'm saying, because I think a lot of people,
Wasn't there already a donation for a sign or something?
yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Do you want to talk about that?
We've received around $300 towards sign.
$300, and then we have committed another 1,000, I believe,
In this budget, there's $1,000 budgeted towards the Arboretum.
toward this specifically, so that could be put towards any one of these, that's already in the budget.
I think there's
so.
a big opportunity for that,
Yeah.
of personal donation.
So we've got the number 1A is in progress with PRISM, which is the Atlantis mitigation. 1B is, I guess we haven't quite gotten to 1B yet.
right, so you get, once 1A has worked and we're proving we've had the die off, then that proposal is nothing more than DPW coming up with a proper piece of equipment.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Zach, excuse me, Zach, I just want to read out 1B. This is the additional Atlantis mitigation project that's proposed, by our friends here, to authorize the DPW to remove all the stumps that are remaining from the 2023 cutting of the Atlantis and then dispose of it off-site. So I know there were some issues about types of equipment going in. And I just want you to address that so everybody understands.
Due to all the punctures that we received just from trying to mow them out. So
You had to replace some tires, is that
yeah,
correct?
tires are punctured, and we probably need something a little more suitable than the equipment that we have, which is really just a wheel front loader and a track skid steer, which I don't think will really be able to club the land that it's supposed to.
To properly remove
We
them?
probably need an excavator of some sort to be able to track the excavator in particular.
So we'd have to rent the additional equipment. Could you come up with some pricing for that and bring it back to the board?
Sure.
Is there
Okay.
any way we can borrow it from the town? Do they have anything like that?
The equipment that they have may be too large. I'd have
Yeah, that
to
would start.
dig into it and see if they
Just
have.
look to see if, because maybe.
Because they should have a backhoe that would work fine for them.
Getting a backhoe in there is the same as us getting our wheel loader in there because it's still on wheels. So puncturing tires on town equipment, I'm not really interested in doing. Each one of those wheels are typically tires are about
A
$8,000.
careful operator, because this is adjacent to the trail. If you scooped out stumps, you wouldn't have any danger of.
Okay, so in the end, I
So-
agree. Okay, that's a discussion to have. If you can get pricing and follow up, that's the direction. Okay, does that make sense for everybody? Just so we're, because how many tires did we lose and what was the replacement?
We lost 2 lawnmower tires and a Bobcat tire. The Bobcat tire was $850, the 2 lawnmower tires
Yeah.
were obviously time that it was down during cutting season, but the tires are about $80 a piece.
Okay, so it's a consideration for us. We just want to make sure we're doing it right
Okay.
with the right equipment, nothing more than that. Let's make sure we're,
So you're on.
okay, so that's the follow-up for Zach. Yep. Okay. Next up, yeah, you're on a roll.
Meadow gravel pile, number 2. You want to speak to that, Jim? About the,
Yeah, I mean, that was just, we, excuse me, had mentioned last time, is for us to, we've asked you to take it away. All you need to do is say, yeah, go ahead and use it, and at some point, we might say, move what's left.
yeah.
Okay.
I have no problem with this one. It's a pile of
There are
rocks.
specific areas of the trail that are wet all the time, and we could use.
Gravel would help. Any gravel would help,
Right.
Yeah,
because for slippage especially.
we got a pile, we got a place to put it, so.
Quick comment, though. I'm remembering a little bit differently, so everybody help me remember this when we were walking with Prism. And he spoke with you also, Zach, about the gravel pile. There was a concern that he had.
Yes, there is a land.
I think it was Sam who had that
It's growing
concern.
up through there, I believe his name is Sam.
Oh, it was Atlantis. Oh,
Yeah, there's an Atlantis that's growing up through it.
about disturbing it.
Yeah.
And when you
let-
disturb it, then it promotes the growth, so.
Can I respond?
Because we certainly can provide gravel if that's not cool to move it. I just don't want to have you guys do the work and then you're spreading Atlantis accidentally.
Yeah, given the fact that we're probably going to be hand shoveling that into buckets or wheelbarrows.
And work around it?
I think we'd be the first one to look at it and go,
I
You're-
did test pits into it to see what's in the pile,
Mhm,
and because gravel is well drained, roots won't grow into a gravel drop.
mhm,
I mean, because by its nature,
mhm.
moisture drains through it, so there's no moisture there, so that's why roots don't grow into a gravel
Yeah,
pile.
okay, thank you.
And I tested that out, I've taken photographs of it, there are no roots in it.
So then why not move the gravel pile? They're going to hand dig it and move it,
It's, it's arboretum still at this point anyway.
Yeah, it's in there.
We'll-
Yeah, see, it's actually, you're right, it's all part of the
Okay.
designated area.
So I'll make a motion that the Friends of the Arboretum is able to use the gravel pile to remediate wet parts of existing trails.
A second?
Okay, roll call?
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Yes,
Motion passes.
okay, moving on.
just the mowing away, give or take a couple tires, just to make sure you'll throw it on a calendar and be watching it up to 3 mows for the year, as it gets to line.
If we keep it
We're
short,
doing that.
and we can identify,
Yeah.
and we can identify where the sharp stuff is, we can help you remove that.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we allow DPW to mow as necessary 3 to 4 times a year, you're saying?
Yep, and just keep in mind that we have to rent a mower for that.
And it's already in the budget.
Okay.
It's in the budget.
Yeah, so do I have a
We're
second?
already doing that, so
Wonderful,
we're
thank you.
just confirming.
Thank
The
you.
motion is confirming. Okay, we have a motion. Did we get a second on that?
I'll second it. if
Okay,
needed.
roll call, please.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Lickett,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, next up.
This is the knotweed mitigation, and this comes down to, we can probably get the manpower to do the installation. Someone needs to buy an appropriate quantity.
Bales of straw, like plastic tarps, and bags, so we can bag the remnants and none that recedes.
Mhm.
And we really want to.
And solarize it.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Again, I'm sorry, I'm just a natural fundraiser.
Mhm.
Is there anybody we can get a donation from?
These aren't big ticket items. This is, I mean, I think this is well within.
$500?
Well, everything's.
Everything that adds up, trust me, we're in the budget season.
Yeah, I know, I guess we're
Driving me
sensitive.
crazy.
We're a little sensitive.
I mean,
on the
you know, I would
budget
think that getting a bunch of bales of hay.
I
would be a
know a
donation
few
from.
farmers that I might be able to get to
Yay.
donate bales of straw, not hay, but straw.
Straw.
season. Mhm. It says
But I-
straw bales.
But I think the plastic bags, I mean, if you're really hard up, I can get the dairy to donate.
How many
Talk about
tarps, how
me
many
first.
tarps do you need?
You know, I think we're gonna have to go around the perimeter of the two existing big areas.
Yeah.
Then there's probably within the field of those areas,
Mhm.
there's probably 6 or 7 spots that will need to be solarized. And then there's probably 2 additional small new patches of knotweed that we want to, cover before it becomes bigger.
So we probably should meet out there with a.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you at least kind of, let's hone in on the numbers, see what it's going to be. And what are you thinking, Zach? Basically that, and, sizes of the tarps and what's required, and, okay.
Okay, do you know what size the tarps come in, Zach? Because we can give you an estimate of how much we need.
The plastic sheeting that we used to solarize what we've done already, I think those are 200 by 50-foot rolls.
Okay. Well, we'll get you some measurements and then that will.
Yeah, and we can coordinate that and,
Yeah,
I think that's fine. I know we are sensitive to the amount of money, especially around budget season, but we're talking about such a small amount of money, and that amount would be overshadowed by the cost of labor for the DPW to do it. So I think that if we're getting volunteer effort to do this, I'm okay with some money towards tarps and hay. But if we want a more specific number, I mean, we could just approve it with a cap of 500 too.
not to exceed.
Okay,
Or not
I'll
to
make a
exceed
motion
400.
that we allocate an amount not to exceed $500 for bales of hay and tarps for knotweed mitigation to be used by the Friends of the Arboretum.
The 2023 budget year.
That's my question, which budget year?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
talking now, or are you talking next year? Next year, I have 1,000 in there. This year, there is no funds dedicated to the Arboretum. So I would have to come back to the board with a budget transfer.
Mhm.
Do enough of those.
I'm not saying not to, I'm just saying,
I think, this is another issue
Should
where
be
I
this
think
year.
if
It
we're
should be,
able to
if we're gonna do it.
solarize early in the season,
You should do it now.
it'll be the most effective and the most efficient use of labor.
Yeah, it should be this year, not
Big
next.
season coming up, we should do it.
So as part of the 24 budget then, is that the easier,
it's
as part
Part
of
of the current
the
budget.
current 24
current
budget?
budget.
Part of the current budget.
I'll bring you a budget transfer.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
all
can
right.
print the money.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
We got it.
Got it.
Justin
Roll call.
motion, Dave seconded.
Yeah, and so roll call.
Okay, never mind.
We thought you said, can we?
No, I said we have.
Oh, I thought you
We
said, can we?
I thought it was an
Whatever, we got it.
affirmation. What do I know?
We all
Okay,
agree.
let's keep the show going.
Trustee Lickett,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. There we go.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Mhm.
When were you guys planning on getting it back in next month?
Well, as soon as the weather breaks, and we have the materials available, I think we probably.
It's broken.
We'll start organizing work parties again, and we'll get active and get out there.
Okay. Are we gonna follow the same kind of pattern as before, or do you want to let me know when?
Yeah, we'll let,
Like,
we'll
couple days heads up.
we'll let you
Coordinate it
and Dorothea
offline.
know when we're gonna be there,
Yeah.
so you know exactly when we're gonna be there and what we're gonna do and which areas we're gonna be working in.
Okay, we're on a roll.
Number 5 is the science.
Yeah.
I think maybe we've talked that enough with that, has to go strictly to your court now.
Yeah.
Well, an HPB would have to look at it.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
They're coming to us for the money, right?
Yeah, well, the money, I agree. I think you could get the donation. I mean, I'm with you. I think that'd be a good thing.
If somebody comes with the donation, that would be amazing.
They
Yeah.
would, and I bet you,
But I mean, again, if we let the community know what's going
Yeah,
on and we
let the
have, we
community
get it out there. I
You
mean,
got retailers who sponsor a sign and you put a little something in the corner of the sign.
Their
yeah,
idea.
that's right. There's a lot of options.
Another
You're
idea.
out walking in the woods.
Okay, so next up, the Bluebird installation.
If I could come back to
Oh,
the sign for
yeah,
just a
back to the
minute.
signs.
Does it make sense to authorize the Friends to take this sign design to the HPV?
Well, they can do that at any point.
They don't need us?
They don't need us.
Well,
Actually-
we don't wanna do it unless you support the
Right.
sign.
We
Actually,
know we like the
it
sign.
wouldn't
Okay,
be
yeah.
the Friends taking it to HPV, it would be the village.
Oh, that's right, it's our land.
property.
It's our land.
Ah.
Yeah, the flag.
That's right. It's our land. So,
That's fine.
So then, I guess, I like the way it looks. As far as donations or potential advertisements, sometimes you can get those little hanging ones underneath that could clip on,
Yes.
and then you could rotate it on.
Yeah.
I mean, admittingly, we don't really want to pay attention to selling advertisement on an arboretum sign,
Right.
but there might be a way to modify that in a way.
I think there's some options, and you guys can take a look and.
One of the things we want to research for you is a donation bench program. We actually, I know the town is moving to a different style bench, but we like the bench that they put in along Frogtown Trail because it's something a Boy Scout could assemble. If it's damaged, it would be easy to repair because the materials are very inexpensive. It's pressure treated boards, basically.
Yeah.
And the other thing would be, we're researching tree tags, potentially to have a donated tree program that would identify not only the donor, but the species of the native tree.
That sounds great, if you can maybe gather that information and bring
That's
it back,
another
because it's,
proposal.
I know,
That's
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
We got a big list here. We got a big list. Okay,
Moving forward.
okay, next up, Bluebird installation.
Simply stated, the Scouts put them in, you guys own it, and
We just want to stain the outside a dark green, a village green color, so
Oh.
it'll be more durable, and it will, visually, they will disappear into the arboretum.
So they're volunteering to take
Stain
the
the-
property.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
We'll
great.
buy the stain.
Who wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Bluebird improvements as identified.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Lightgev,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Hi.
motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, go Bluebirds.
Okay,
Next up,
the next thing is plantings. We have people that, as I said, want to donate plantings. We're not sure how many we're going to get, but we also have access to Monroe County has annual tree plantings. And this year, we figured the easiest area to plant would be where the new spruce trail that we built last year intersects with the wetland overlook trail and the south trail that goes up to the meadow. There's a clear area there, it's near the mulch pile, it would be easy to dig, there's nothing invasive in there, and it would be a great way to establish native plants and trees.
yeah, I think we should see this identified on a map of the Arboretum, so we start to keep a record of where the plantings are going in, and then we can also, when we do the community workshop, we can start to show people what those ideas are, where the plantings are going to be going, I
One
think
of the
that would be
things we're
helpful.
currently working on is to do kind of a schematic plan of the Arboretum that identifies the natural features that are there, including the riparian corridors where the springs are, what's planted there today, and then kind of a phase breaking it up into pieces of what should be a pollinator meadow and how we could, sort of target annually different areas and move.
So we could call that a site plan and bring it back to the
Yep,
community.
Exactly.
How about that?
Great.
Okay, so that's something that we would all want to work towards.
When do the plantings need to occur by?
Well, the best time is really by the end of May, you really want to get plantings in. Gives them the best chance for survival.
Although with natives, unless there's a serious heat and serious drought, natives are, that's why they're natives.
They're tenacious.
Yeah, they're
right?
tenacious, so if you don't hit that exact mark, I mean, I just put in, in the fall, I put in a whole bunch, and in August, I mean, I plant them all the
Yeah,
time.
I mean,
so.
I wouldn't, so I guess if you're okay putting together some kind of a schematic of rough areas.
We need to figure out, it's gonna take us a month because one of our donors is away. But by April, we should have
Okay.
a handle, and we'll show you, we'll draw a map, we'll show you exactly
Okay.
where we propose to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even that concerned about exactly if they're native trees, we've got a couple of acres of invasives there at least. If you're planting native
At least,
trees in,
Mhm.
anywhere in the park.
I
don't
just
really
think
care.
to,
I
get
think
a
it's great.
schematic and bring in the community and get
Yeah.
everybody
We've been
engaged.
talking to other
Mhm.
leaders who have
Mhm.
developed similar projects in other communities. And one of the things we've learned is generally the most successful strategy is to overplant, understanding that about 30% of what you plant is going to be die, either naturally or through competition. And that's how you establish the natives to get a foothold.
Okay, so we have a plan, get the schematic going, we'll keep moving it forward, that sounds great. Okay, next up, item number 8,
Just-
Arbor Day.
Arbor Day celebration, just incorporated some kind of a function that draws people down. There's a
Mhm.
part of what the village may be doing.
We would offer, I've done numerous tours through there with different groups and they're very well received. And it's a great way to let people know what's there and the potential.
Oh, of course it is, it's a great idea. The Arbor Day celebration, we did it last year jointly with the town at Kings Bend, and we're doing it again at Kings Bend this year. And it's great because, it really opens it up to everybody. So, and then here, it's just, what Saturday is that, the 20th?
Yeah, I believe.
It's
April, yeah, this is like Earth Day, Arbor Day, the whole thing.
Right, we'll get the exact date out there, but we're looking to do just a tree pickup.
Yeah, they're just gonna, whatever isn't going
Yeah, we're just
to
having
the
trees here for
larger,
residents to pick
larger
up.
distribution. They'll just be
And
stopping
we
in.
also had a question about that. If you have, I know last year there were quite a few left over. If you have leftover native plants, we'd be willing to plant them in the arboretum. So,
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to correct that, we didn't have any trees left over.
We didn't, but if we
Everything
did,
got taken
Everything was
by
taken.
somebody.
yeah.
It
So
went to a new home.
besides the availability for trees to be taken from here, the village hall, in the village, nothing else happens in the village on Arbor Day? It all happens in King Ben's Park?
We're doing the giveaway here.
We have a giveaway here, which we
And
all,
then we'll
which we have.
take everything to Kings Bend and give away there. Afterwards, we.
Okay.
And we, we sign up, we have information on pollinators, I mean, have you ever been to one?
Yeah, when I was down with the.
Oh, no, the one at Kings Bend is much,
I've never been to one.
oh, okay, because it just seemed to be, as a practical matter, to combine it with the town. We had talked about it, and it was really successful.
It's a lot of, it was too many competing.
Right, this way, one spot, one-stop
So,
shopping.
I mean, are you going to highlight the arboretum? Because it really is an innovative.
Yeah, it's all going to be part of it, absolutely. Everything that's going on in the village, the pollinator program, the pollinator quarters, all of that, so.
This is Saturday, the Arbor Day event, it would be Saturday again, I
Well,
suspect.
the town event is,
I think it's during the week,
Town
actually.
event is on
Kings Bend
Monday.
is during the week.
Earth Day Arbor Day event, Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, 10 o'clock.
We're 24.
2023.
Yeah, that was last year on a
Yes,
Saturday.
yes.
I
But
think
this year, I think
is
they
during
changed the
week.
day.
Oh, really?
That's interesting, I wonder why.
Yeah, it is.
And they had a good reason. But we can follow up on that and
Yeah.
coordinate everything.
The
How's
reason
that?
I asked that is I think one simple thing that you could do with pre-approval from this board, you could present a 1 8.5 by 11 sheet that we as a village could support as being made available at the Arbor Day event that we're a part of.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, any
And I think
background
That sort
information?
of, and maybe it comes with an event, and I personally, I would do it on the subsequent day or subsequent weekend. So if we want to have an event that is coordinated, that people can participate in, pick a time that's a couple days after the event, and I would support having a one-page sheet that's available on.
Yeah, maybe it can advertise the tour like
That's a
the
great idea.
following weekend or something,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, right, and I'll also offer an opportunity for donation on that sheet. I'm just saying.
She's so on the
You
case.
have, because people are going to want it, they're going to be like,
Yeah.
oh, we love this project, we want to
Yeah.
donate, who do we send it to?
Well, we'd like to formalize a donation program, so we want to work with you to make sure that it's done in full accordance with your vision.
Mhm.
So let's wait on that, but we're working on that, okay?
Okay, so the action item is an information sheet, and if you guys are up for picking your date to do a tour, so
Mhm.
people are made aware
We
of
put it in
that,
the-
put it right on the sheet, that kind of thing.
So like a one-page
Yeah.
handout and
Yeah,
pre-approved.
Because people
before it
definitely
gets-
pick it up.
Right.
Yeah, right.
They did last year, they picked up
I
everything.
think it'd be great.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
That's awesome.
okay, so next up, we're cruising now.
The list, it's not the top.
Item number 9.
Okay. The last item is we feel it's so important to, the towpath trail is such an important thing to establish, because number one, it gets people away from where the motor vehicles operate at the garage, and it provides a direct connection to the towpath trail. It really gives the Arboretum frontage on a major pedestrian route in their community. It's a very scenic route, and we know there's challenges with grading. We just want the opportunity to go in there, create a look at those problems, and come back with some design suggestions of how we could make that trail safe so it works, and present those to you. But right now, we know it was posted, and we didn't want to do anything without getting your blessing first. But we think there's so much benefit, and we know that you identified a safety issue by the garage, and we think this is the best solution because it uses very little real estate to do this, and it completely circumvents the area of activity around the village DPW.
So the action item then is that you guys would kind of do a deeper dive, and we'll
Right,
take a look,
right.
and then bring it back.
Well,
That
like,
sounds
we
great.
might walk the trail, take
Mhm.
measurements, and we didn't want to, do anything without your blessing.
And then what would be great too, we could coordinate this then with like the workshop with the community, so they could see the possibilities maybe of what could be in the future, and bring it all back
Yep.
to the
Exactly.
community and to the board,
And
which I
we
think
can
would be
see where
great.
something like an Eagle Scout project could be, what builds the steps to make it,
Mhm.
what we would expect to find in other parts.
Great.
Just a quick comment on that. We've had a lot of work on the long-term capital plan. We've talked a lot about the DPW, considering things like the bathroom, putting fencing in the yard, and all of these things are coming together. But what it does for me is it tells me the DPW is going to be there for a while, right? Location isn't changing anytime soon.
Right.
We're investing in the building in many ways,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Or at least that's the plan. For a reasonable pedestrian path to the Arboretum from the canal path makes sense. And it doesn't make sense trying to jam it between the DPW and in the existing old water treatment, whatever that was. I can't remember the name of the building there now. So something has to happen. Either you come in through the town and then you redirect and you eventually get there, or you create a straight path.
And what's nice about this route is from the entrance on the towpath trail, it looks like the Arboretum because it's wooded, it's very scenic. This time of year, there's a wonderful view over the wetland to the west. It really will be a spectacular trail and a nice entrance into the property.
So I'm not trying to pre-state my position, other than it would be nice to see how we might be able to move this forward. We looked into the insurance for people other than the DPW working on it, and while right now the path is certainly not safe, and I have no problem putting a, hey, don't use this sign up.
Yeah.
If you've got people
Future
who,
trail.
if we've got people who can present to us a very reasonable and authentic way to interact with the Arboretum through the canal, I think it's something we should consider.
Yeah, but I also would like the consideration of what habitats are existing there. And we probably should have some type of a habitat survey, because that really is untouched land, essentially, between, where the DPW yard ends, all the way down through the RG&E right-of-way, past those wetlands, and then into the town property. That is untouched land, and I would like that to be brought into consideration.
Well, we have
Because-
researched that issue.
I would love to see the research, if you could bring it to the board, that would
We
be
will,
great.
we will.
That would be great, as part of the package, that would
Because,
be wonderful.
one of the comments that was expressed was that, there's foxes, there's a den of foxes. There's a den of foxes that lives in Daniele's gazebo behind my house.
Mhm.
And so
I have one in my yard.
putting a trail in will not, there are still large areas of the Erie Canal Preserve and the Arboretum that don't have trails. And one of the reasons why this is an optimal route is because it goes on the edge between different habitats. It's on the edge of the spruce plantation,
Mhm.
and it's on a hillside that overlooks the wetland. It's not through the wetland, it overlooks it.
Understood. Okay.
So from that perspective, it really is the optimal.
Okay.
Okay,
well,
so I'll make a
thanks.
motion then that the Friends of the
can research it.
Arboretum have the ability to access that area for investigative purposes of a proposed trail.
Yeah, to investigate, yep. Okay, we heard that
And
motion?
it will remain to be closed to the public, is that
Yes.
correct?
Should be.
Do we
Yes.
do we need to make
Yeah.
that part of the motion?
And
Or not?
Steve, do you have any comment on that? This is going back to the trail that has been closed. They want to investigate it to see what it would take to make it a safe trail through there.
I don't see how you can to make it a public trail.
They're going to investigate it and bring it back to this board
It
with a
will
plan.
still be off.
Okay, but it's not going to be just accessible to
For
the,
investigation purposes, but that area over there.
but again,
Is filled with junk. I mean, there's.
understood, but hang on. This is about, and that was the concern about insurance and indemnification with the village. The fact that, there are some issues right now with going back in there, and you had some safety concerns already, which is why it was closed. So this is the discussion that we're bringing back to the board. And I believe it was our insurance company that wanted an insurance policy in case there's an issue with somebody going over the edge of what's currently been partially cleared there.
Try not to roll down the berm. I made a motion.
Yeah, well, it's back for discussion here, so, I think we may want to circle back on that. I don't know if our attorney's here.
Yes, he is.
Jeff, is Jeff here?
Jeff?
You thought you were safe. I know.
Come join us.
So part of the insurance review.
I mean, I have no problem with it going in and investigating all that, but there's
Yeah,
Right,
another
we become
aspect
I think
of
that's our
liability.
walk away tonight. is
Right now.
keep going.
Hang on one second, we're still discussing this with the board and bringing in our attorney on this. So the motion has been made for some of the Friends of the Arboretum to go back in, Jeff, and where the trail has been closed and investigate how to create the trail still going back from the towpath into the Arboretum, which they originally wanted to do. And as you know, it was closed down because it was deemed unsafe. The insurance company went back in and looked at it, and the recommendation was sent back to the entire board. So, and the recommendation, I believe, was that they needed to have proof of insurance, so the village wouldn't have the liability. And I don't know, they would like to go back in, but we don't have any, we have never received any insurance. So, again, we have to protect our village, and we just want to make sure it's going to be safe. So we're just asking you to weigh in on that if there's any other.
This is along the canal.
I'm asking Jeff, excuse me, hang on, Bob, please. We're asking Jeff, we had left it where there was supposed to be proof of insurance because there was concern about liability.
We don't have the insurance.
The
That's,
village has insurance.
We have insurance.
No, right. No, I'm talking about, what I'm hearing is that our insurance company wanted additional insurance when
Right.
we were using it.
right. That was the communication that
Well,
was
wouldn't
sent to the
any
board.
insurance companies say they would prefer that there is additional insurance covering any given event?
We have coverage.
Well, they made the distinction that if, yes, we are insured, of course we are insured, but they made the distinction of the impact if somebody had an accident and they were uninsured and would be on our insurance, then all of our rates would go up. And Dorothy, are you looking for additional information on that?
This
for
is
the
where we're
board?
not
Okay,
used.
excuse me one second, we're still discussing this here, and we'll get right back with you, okay? But
Did you say there was a previous motion by this board to have it, to require the insurance?
No.
Okay. I'm certainly not going to disagree with the insurance company what they want. Another way to handle it would be individual releases from anybody that's working in there.
they'd sign an individual release. That could be another way to go. Is that
Does
something?
it really hold up in court though?
Yeah, I'm wondering, that's where I was going.
Why wouldn't it?
I don't know.
I've heard that those things don't really work.
So essentially, they're signing a release to indemnify the village from anything. Yeah, Dave.
So having had a conversation with our insurance agent in the past and knowing the coverage limits that we have, and I don't have them right in front of me, just like when they're out planting trees or shoveling or anything else, right? They're doing work in the village on our premises, and we're insured for that. You're not operating heavy machinery out there, right? You're not pulling trees. It's a path that's got some dangerous elements to it.
That was the difference though, Dave. They were fine actually with people, going, doing the weeding, doing sort of different type of work, that was different than what they had identified. They walked it, they photographed it. So that's all.
But right now, we're
I'm
not
coming
even
from
saying we're working.
okay, but I'm coming from a position of wanting to protect our village, and maybe if there was a form, you just sign a form indemnifying us
But-
Like a waiver.
as a waiver, yeah.
I think the risks there are less than the risks of anybody
Okay, but
being
what,
close to the canal,
what's
for
the,
all
what's,
sakes.
so
like
why
what
is
they
that,
did
why don't we
with
just have them sign a waiver? It's that
Yeah,
easy.
why not?
If they're all going out to
This
them,
is
sign
this is
a waiver.
a photograph of
I know.
Shane Place. You have, an 8-foot break wall along a heavily trafficked piece of Shane Place. This is Shane Place. People walk there, hundreds of people walk.
And it's on a stable piece of land that is properly paved with high visibility, not what's there now with the
But-
trail that you want to, I'm not going to get, I don't want the back and forth. I'm
If you
thinking,
fell off that, it's.
I'm not going to get into this. I'm not going to get into this. Okay, we need to move along. There's a motion, there's discussion. I actually agree with Lisa that a form.
It's pretty
and
simple to just get a
to
waiver.
sign a
I have
waiver.
my yoga students do it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if
At least
they
do
would help.
that.
Is it hard to do that? I mean,
Jeff,
what's
did
your
we-
reservation, guys, to sign a waiver?
We
Why would you
have
sign a
no problem
waiver?
with it.
Yeah, we're happy to sign a waiver.
Yeah, and we'll at least show it to the insurance
I
company
mean,
and have it on
you
file.
would let it go without a waiver. If they want,
Okay.
if they'll do it, it's
I'll
just
make a
that
motion.
little extra
Do you want to
protection.
amend, do we have a motion? So do you want to amend the motion?
Oh,
Did
You want to amend it to have a
yours?
waiver?
yeah.
Do we have a waiver on file? Go ahead, Dave.
Jeff-
And
Jeff
so
can-
I'll
wait.
amend the
The insurance
motion
company.
such that Jeff draft a.
Or the insurance company? We're
No,
gonna
I
wait,
think, do
right?
we have a motion on file or a waiver?
A waiver on file
already?
for anything?
Jeff, do we have a waiver on file?
I don't think so.
Not that
We
I'm
haven't
aware.
waived?
I have a waiver in my file.
Oh, well then, yeah, he's got a waiver.
It's
Can we
such
borrow
a
your
simple
waiver?
thing.
We have a guy, yeah, we have a guy, he's got a waiver.
Okay, so
A simple waiver.
Yep.
somebody come up with a waiver.
Yeah.
Give us a-
Okay, so amended.
Amended to have a waiver from the Transit Arboretum accessing that portion of the arboretum.
Sorry, we can't cover you in case you slip on work that's helping us.
Is that okay with you guys? I mean.
Well,
you know,
no, this is
extra
back to
protection.
our board. This is
Yeah.
what our board needs to do to protect our village. So we
Right.
have a motion, and we have a second,
With the waiver.
with as
Okay.
amended.
You have a second. All right.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay,
And may I
good.
say, as mayor for 28 years, I fully understand the liability of the village. Also, I may add that during my 28 years, we never had a member of the public who was injured in any capacity like this, and we had several similar situations.
Well, that's great, but I think that was all luck.
We expect.
Anything can happen at any time, as we all know. Well, thanks, you guys.
Be safe.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for
Okay.
your collaboration.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys. Thanks for all your work.
We're still toast.
all righty. So,
Good work, guys.
next up, special-
Thanks, Rob.
okay, next up, there's a special permit application for 57 Monroe Avenue. Hi.
Yeah, if you like.
Oh, this is daunting.
Oh, no, we're friendly.
We usually don't bite unless we're hungry.
Okay.
I'm the least serious, so you can.
I don't know.
Hey, I'll be,
Can you please-
I'll come your way.
Can you please state your name and
Yep.
everything for the record?
Yep, my name is Jeff Ledoux. I'm architect, principal of Form 2 Architecture in Greece, New York. I'm sitting before you on behalf of Mike Linkio, the owner of 57 Monroe Avenue, who's sitting back there. He's in the safe seat back there.
You can come up too.
Yeah, if you want.
That's okay, it's fine, get paid.
Oh, okay.
There you
All
go.
right.
That's one of the reasons.
So the application before the board is the property located at 57 Monroe Avenue. The intent is to convert it to
high-end, call it market, above market apartments. They vary in size, 1 and 2 bedroom units, 7 total, 5 on the existing first floor, 2 on the second floor. The existing building, first floor gross is a little over 5,800 square feet, 5,816 fire calculation. Second floor is 2,450 square feet. I know one of the stipulations within the code is a storage requirement of 7% for the unit area. We're currently showing 500 and varied storage elements for each unit on the first floor, of a total of 525 square feet. If you take the 7% on the gross and the net, it varies between 407 and 349, so we exceed that requirement on the first floor. On the second floor, we're providing 187 square feet, and the gross to net varies between 171 to 150. And when I say net, I'm just, that net number will be inside face of wall of the apartment unit itself. The gross is basically just the total footprint of the building, depending on where that 7% has to fall from. The intent is with the commercial use that's there's more than adequate parking. There's already dumpster enclosures. There would be basically everything from a site component that's existing. There's no plan to modify that.
So essentially, you're adaptively reusing what's there.
Correct.
Okay, just so I'm
Yep.
following along with you.
Yep.
Okay.
The plan presented would be what is, it's probably a close, it's close to what would be final. To be fair, I can't say that it is 100% final. I think what we're trying to show is that, one, sort of the use, the size, the scale. There's the smaller unit, which is 600, the 1 bedroom, but the owner's requirement was to try to get them at a size where you're talking what would be an expectation of a higher level unit with expected efficiencies. So we're able to, within the square footages that we're providing, to certainly at that end game permit level or final to see the storage requirement and make sure that is maintained. There may be some minor, there may be some modifications to the exterior, which would just entail glass, adding more glass, all the access from to the units would be from the parking lot, from not the Main Street side, basically. But for the most part, the building as it is would be retained in its current form, basically. Some of it may be, what we're trying to do is make sure that we're sort of landing where the current windows are, but there may be some, there won't be a reduction certainly, but there may, that.
What year was the building built?
Pardon?
What year was the building built? It's recent.
70s?
I think it's sooner than that. But yes, it's
80s?
Yeah.
No, it was the early 1970s.
Early 70s? Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah,
reading.
early 70s, yeah, correct.
Okay.
It is a contributing element to the National Register Historic District.
So that's a consideration. But you're not altering the front of the building.
You're not adding to the
no,
building?
not adding to it, not altering.
Is there any outside space for the apartments?
They have, it meets, overmeets the code requirement of green space for the number of units.
I mean, do you
There may
plan on
be-
putting like outside
like a
patios?
patio.
Yes, I think the
Instead of
idea
using-
would be to try to take advantage of that location, its proximity to the rail, certainly Main Street, and certainly for the units and higher end, there'd be probably the desire to have that
Sure.
access to that.
Mhm.
You know, so that is something that we had discussed
Mhm.
providing, yes.
But that's not shown on this. And does that, do we need to
Tell me
know?
again, I'm sorry.
That's not, any outside space or any kind of patios that you were talking about are not shown on here. Does that matter for us to be able to? Because if we were to grant a special permit, it would be based on just this.
We
no
would be
patios.
moving into public hearing and giving some direction and
Got it.
actions to
Yeah, but,
get you there.
right, and
So-
I guess for clarification from the board, I would add, my understanding is that's what we're here to basically, it's a non-public discussion that you will
Open to public hearing.
open to public hearing.
That's the way it
And
works.
that you would be, this is just for feedback and also so that with some direction, so that when we come to that meeting where if there are items that board members would like us to address, we would do that.
Yeah, so just with that being said, each of you has received a copy, and Jeff may want to fill you in a little bit more, and possibly Steve. Yeah, there you go, of the code that would apply to this. This is something actually new in our village, you know, to do something like this, to take, you know, essentially what is a commercial property, an office property, and make it into a multifamily dwelling. So the code then that you're looking at is 210-24.9. And there's sort of boxes you kind of have to check on that to make sure that the criteria are being met. And that is something I think that we should all be looking for going forward. You know.
So, but even, I guess, thank you very much, first of all, for the application. And following up on Lisa's question, part A here is very related. So before this board moves it forward, Steve, are you saying that this application, as you understand it now, complies with 21024.9A about open space, specifically 400 square feet of such open space per resident family shall be reserved?
Way over that.
Okay, I just wanted to check on that.
But, okay, yeah, okay.
If you were still on A, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking, so the square footage requirement, I think, with the front yard alone, that's probably true.
Yeah, there's over 4,000 square feet of
Green space, yeah.
Okay. How much of that is usable in the back versus the front, just out of curiosity?
Back is all parking lot and some green space on the side, and the rest is up front.
Right, so the vast majority of that is the front lawn, not the back lawn. To what degree is there any consideration for reclaiming some of the back lawn in a way that's separating it or making it more usable? And the reason I say that is simply going back to A. It says, at least 400 square feet of such open space per resident family shall be reserved. Development of this open space for passive or active recreational uses shall be provided in a manner suitable for the prospective occupants of the development. Area devoted to swimming pools, other forms of recreation, blah, blah, blah. Yard areas may also be considered as long as access to them is not prohibited by fencing or other means. The parking area shall not be included in the assessment. So the reason I'm asking is it means that the open space is just the front lawn and whatever side strips of open space there is. Did you do your math on the front lawn or did you include the parking?
No, I did not include the parking.
Okay.
No.
Great, so then that brings us back to the question of is to what degree do you envision any development for the back lawn, or do you believe in the application process that the front lawn is considered sufficient for active recreational uses suitable to the prospective occupants?
Yeah, I would not, the back lawn, because it fronts additional parking in commercial buildings, you know, that I think most of the units, at least at the first floor, less one, which is the smaller one bedroom, all front the green space that is on Main Street, or the side to what would be the north, facing the railroad. So so we would want to basically, from the standpoint of tenant engagement with the green space, that would be ideal.
Front and side?
Yes, only because of what you're engaged with visually versus what you have, you know, the proximity of the parking, the dumpsters, the And again, they keep, that the development to the back isn't, so that would be.
Yeah, you want your.
Even if you carved out, there may be the possibility of carving out a space and fencing that off for the one bedroom, so that is there. But again, from the usability, I think the idea would be to try to make it so that front lawn area was promoted as your
Active
green
space.
space.
Part of the reason I ask is a lot of people like to grill in the summer.
Yes.
And to have the front lawn littered with, 8 different grills would be a little bit different of an engagement for that property as a multifamily than a lot of the surrounding area. And so it's just a question of, are you thinking about doing anything on the side for that to accommodate? Is that even a concern of ours? Do we care? Right? So I'm just bringing it forward to the discussion.
Sort of make
Well,
it
it
a
would
little,
be-
you can make a
it
side yard,
would be-
courtyard area, or patio area for
It would be
everybody.
a controlled use. It won't be like having grills out down by Main Street. They'll
Yeah.
have, if they have a designated patio area, that would be the area in which the expectation for the grill, if there was a question of its visibility, that, a screen of sorts, whether it's landscaped or such,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of that would be controlled under the lease structure, that you're not just,
Right. But we can guide you in that as part of the special permit, and have it be a condition of the special permit, such that when you go to write the conditions that you're expressing, right, they're embedded in that because they have to be, rather than by choice, right?
And I lived in a 6-unit building, we had a little shared patio area that was common,
Yeah.
so it wasn't everybody
Right.
having all of these different.
So I think, for me, I love the idea of converting office to residential. I think it's great. It's just some of these small nuances
Tweaking.
might have some utility as part of the permitting process.
Yeah, we'll get to you in a minute, we're just discussing with the board, thanks, I see your hand, thank you so much.
And this is something that, as you move forward, if you have some ideas of that you could bring to the next meeting, which would be helpful.
Mhm. Yeah, but really, the action item is to really go through everything consistently, what's laid out in this code, and then also the other one that the board has, you have in front of you is 21035.4. And, just to make sure we're all tracking with that as well. Okay, so, and Steve can help you with that.
Just a quick note, school bus loading area, and you might have some families here, just right on Monroe would be fine. Is there a standard path for the school bus, and we'd have no problem with them going down and stopping at Monroe?
No, they do it.
They do it
They
all
do it
the
all
time.
the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah, they do it all the time. Yes, there was a comment.
Okay, yes.
Yes.
Robert Corby, 7 Washington Avenue. In the comprehensive plan, one of the important principles was keeping our village walkable. And this is a colonial revival building that has a portico and a former symmetrical entrance that faces Monroe Avenue. It's a very prominent expression of the connection of the main entrance of the building to the street. When I look at the plan, I only see windows facing Monroe Avenue, and what I would hope in the development of the project. And again, the conversion of offices to multiple housing uses was something that the comprehensive plan anticipated and endorsed. I think it's a great idea and a great concept for this building. But it would be nice to see a formal entrance that connects this building to the street, because we aspire to be a walkable village, and the design for this project should be in alignment.
And actually, it would define it differently than it just simply being an office building that's been converted. You're essentially addressing the entire character of the street going into the village with other houses.
Yeah, very good point.
Right.
So something to think about,
If you change the window location, there are some windows that will change without approval from the Historic Preservation Board. Those have not been grandfathered, but because it is a colonial revival building, the window spacing, the proportions are an important issue for the design excellence of the street and the building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have some action items here. Do you feel like you anything else the board wants to add in, really just track with where we are in our code? Jeff, was there anything else you wanted to add on this in terms of
Yeah, you
discussion?
mentioned screening, just make sure if you're gonna make any changes to the building at all, it's gotta go to HPV, and Steve can guide you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is going to probably have to go to HPV.
And they'll work with you, they'll work with you on that.
To that end, I guess I wouldn't mind hearing just some initial comments on the recent public comment, as far as how we visually see the building today versus as part of this conversion. How do you
Well,
see the visual?
one, the building, all the entrances are from the parking lot now. There may be a visual entrance, so to speak, but I don't, whether there was ever that used as an entrance, that I don't know.
Yep.
The other thing is that from a unit and a user standpoint, the unit entrances, that people are going to be parking and want access immediately. I mean, one of the advantages of this building is a conversion project versus others of this scale. It has ample parking where you're not necessarily having to utilize parallel park, street side, street
Yeah, how many
parking.
spots are there?
And where that access point is, it's not, it's sort of, it's a traffic end. So any quote unquote, door points or entrance, quote unquote, entrances would be what would be utilized for what we're talking about is taking advantage of the green space.
If I made that,
On that side, but
you're leaving them there, and you're not removing the doors that we see from the road, or you're not,
right,
all that stays the same, the columns stay the same.
yes, well, all those treatments, but when we're talking about like a general impact of what might happen to the building within the language of the building, that has not been looked at. If there's the implication of adding access points, that would be something that
No, I think I'm
be
just
looking
saying,
at, but no, I guess it goes to the, we're not looking to change.
yeah, so what I see here
That's
from the street today is what I would see tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay, that's,
So then that there is a door, a center door there, and where does it fall?
But that would not be that door.
It would just be a
afford-
facade?
It would just be,
Just
it could
there.
very well just be a
Just be
door
there.
that accesses the unit. It does-
Okay,
Having that as an entrance way on what would be, for the most part, how this building is oriented, while its faces Main Street.
I don't think we're looking at that.
yeah.
I think we're going a little bit off the rails
No,
here
but
with that.
so.
We're not defining the building, we're not,
No.
Yeah.
No,
I think we're
right,
just
right, but
not.
some of what we're discussing, though,
Yeah.
would have implications that I would need to present to the board.
Sure,
With the questions you're asking, because it's not simply the question of storage, we're going into other areas that we frankly haven't looked at in any detail where I can sit here definitively and say, this is what. this
we're not,
is.
we understand it's not definitive, and I think it's a good dialogue to have, that we're really kind of, because, again, this is new for us, too, to have this type of conversion, and I'm excited about it. I think it's a great adaptive reuse of a building in our community, and we have a need for such housing. So I think it's kind of a win-win,
Yes.
and it's really about, so I think what we're just saying is, making sure that we're keeping that integrity and if we're making it a residence, it should be a residence,
right.
That's, I think, kind of where we're all coming from,
I
right?
think all the responses are the responses I was hoping for. It's just a matter of being confident or asking a question, right? Because I didn't know based on what I had seen so far.
Right.
Okay.
A little bit of tweaking.
So, right, well, also on the material line, this is really focused, sort of pinpointed at a specific item within the code, but these other items can certainly provide that as part of the next submission, to help, I guess, bridge what's.
How many parking spots are with the building now? How many parking spots are there now as it exists? So there's a few.
20.
Yeah, I sort of, 28, wow.
And those are all for the building?
Yeah.
Do you need all those? Can you bring back some green space on the backside?
I mean, we're just throwing this out as
Yeah,
something to think
because
about.
that would be amazing,
as a way-
for the people that rent there, and they would love to have green space on the outside. So
And
it doesn't
also,
feel like they're on parking
yeah,
lot.
your tenants would be screened from the street.
Right.
In terms of how they want to socialize outdoors or do whatever,
Right.
sit out in sun,
Yeah, anytime we can add more green space to cement, we're happy.
Yeah, we're pro green space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so just some
Yeah.
any other thoughts from the board? And then, you can work with Steve and we can, really go through this and hopefully you can refine things.
So does that mean that we can't go public
Oh, to public hearing?
Yes.
Well, we could move it to public hearing with the, what would the date be, though? Let's figure this
That'd
out.
be March 26th.
With the idea that we would get this information all pulled together
Mhm.
prior to that, to go be posted publicly, to go back to the board, we'd all get it in the packet,
Right.
based on the feedback you've received tonight.
We can do that. I mean, we can make that timeline. It's just, I'm only asking because it gets that next gate going.
Sure, we understand, it's the whole process.
That's all. So,
Although to get your permit, you're going to have stuff pretty well finalized. What it's going to, the number of units, what units are going to be, the stuff that you're going to need in the lease, the stuff that the trustees are going to want you to put in the leases, in terms of conditions on your permit, all of that's going to have to be finalized, or you continue the public hearing.
Or we can continue the hearing.
Might keep it open.
Yeah, but to get, I know, because you're anxious to get going, we understand that.
but it's also just keeps, if we're talking discussion and then we're going to get, if getting the public is also going to open that discussion, then we'd rather have that feedback.
Hear it early.
As soon as.
But the public needs to see, by the time it goes to public hearing, there has to be something definitive
Oh, it'll be definitive.
for,
To present.
Yes.
okay, and I think, Jeff, is that what you're really trying to clarify? So, yeah, Justin, you had another,
Yeah, I think it would be good to get the public's input on this. One of the strong inputs that we have from the public is with the comp plan. And I think with what some of the trustees were mentioning in terms of the green space, it does say in the comp plan in relationship to this area that one of the enhancement strategies is to provide for ample areas of green space or courtyards for public use. So that is something that's specifically called out in the comp plan. And also relating to the public comment, it does say storefronts and building entrances oriented to the street with access from the public sidewalk, which is something that I believe we also touched on here. So that's part of the public's input through the comp plan.
What that would suggest is possibly reinvigorating the doors or the entrances, which it sounds like you're going to still have them there and have them be utile. Is that right?
Which would it, the back?
the front door?
No, the front doors. Was there
No.
the intent to have the front doors be usable?
There's only one, oh, there's
1, 2, 3.
It would just be usable by the unit, by one unit.
Yeah, right.
In the plan.
Yeah.
What was the intent to have them be usable by those units?
Well, I think the intent is to have access to the green space directly from the units.
From those units that have those access points?
Okay.
That's
From
Okay.
us.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's great.
Yeah.
It was just hard to tell from the submission
Yep.
tonight, that's all.
Any other comments from the board?
I think we're all pretty optimistic,
Yeah,
so thanks for
sounds
coming in
awesome.
tonight.
Really excited about it.
So coordinate.
Are you going to set the?
Do you want to set the public hearing
Yes.
with the idea that,
Yes,
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing to the date that Dorothea provides.
which is,
March 26th at 6 PM.
Thank you.
So the deadline to get the information in. So that-
oh, you should have a deadline.
No,
You can have the information to me by the 21st.
No later than, yeah.
I'll second Dave's motion.
Okay, we have a, hang on, she's writing.
I'm ready.
Pardon me.
Give her a second.
All right, trustee Lightgev,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
aye.
trustee Marshall,
aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
exciting.
Exciting project.
I'm gonna build some units in Webster, but I love it so much, I first switched gears and I want to go.
Awesome.
We're glad to hear it. Thanks, okay.
Very happy to have you. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Your cell phone is still sitting.
Oh, your cell phone's on the chair.
Steve, they continue to coordinate.
Yeah, I was gonna record if you guys talk.
You can watch us all on YouTube.
Good night. Have a good night.
Follow up on
Thank you.
YouTube. Okay. So
That'll be amazing.
I know, it really activates that area in a
Oh,
different
God,
way.
amazing.
I know. Okay,
Love it.
where are we here? Okay, next up. Rob, thank you, you've been very patient. Mr. Richardson from Climate Smart.
Municipal management, it's a nice reminder.
This is the famous Mr. Richardson.
Very
Oh, no.
famous.
We've been talking about it.
Yeah, your ears
Good
get
way.
burning.
You've
I
been talking
know.
about for many meetings, Mr.
I
Richardson.
know.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to come and address the board tonight and talk about the CEC program, because it's really been revamped in a way that could have a tremendous benefit for the village. I've met with Mayor and Zach and Steve a couple of times over the last few weeks to kind of look at not only what the village has already accomplished, but kind of what you're looking to do and seeing how it could impact this program, and it's fairly substantial. So if you kind of want to just go to the next slide, turn page. Quick background about me is I am not a planner. I work for a planning agency, but my background is in municipal management. So prior to this role, I was the assistant city manager in Canandaigua for 4 years. And during that time, all of the city's kind of environmental initiatives and projects fell on my desk, including the CEC and the CSC program. I love this work, and I love working with communities to help them bring in match-free money. So when the opportunity to do this became available, it was a really easy decision to jump ship. And I love being a dad and a husband, which is also very important to me. And unfortunately, with municipal management, you tend to have lots of night meetings, and you tend to miss some of that stuff. So couple really important things to know about this program, though, that I like to just share right off front is this is not taxpayer dollar funded. So the money that's available through the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program all comes through the system's benefit charge when you pay your utility bills every month. So essentially, this is money that every resident in this community pays into on a monthly basis. And then at the end of the year, that's all aggregated, and that becomes kind of NYSERDA's budget for the following year. So that's where the money from this comes from in terms of the grant awards that are available.
So it's a pool for all the municipalities in the program?
Correct.
Okay.
The other thing too is that all the services and support that I provide come at no charge to the municipality. I am already paid for through a time and materials contract through NYSERDA. So as the mayor can tell you, I pride myself in providing a fairly high level of support. I really want to be that extra hands in the municipality because from my own experience, I know what some of those challenges and limitations are. Not having enough hands to get what you need to get done on a day-to-day basis is tough enough when you want to provide good services. But when opportunities like this come, I would hate to see municipalities miss out because they just didn't have somebody that could help them submit this information. So I always approach this municipality first. I'm not here to sell you anything. What I would like to see is based on what the village has planned and some of the other things you have down the road, how we might be able to pull back in some grant money through this program that could then be used on other things. So the other thing I learned in my municipal management career is that at the end of the long day, people want to go home. So I will try to be as brief as possible going through this. The program started in August 2016, and it had two very simple goals. The first one is how can we help municipalities start to reduce their utility consumption while providing services? But more importantly, how can we help them do that and save money? So there have been two iterations of this program. Ironically, the second one, which started January 26, 2021, aligns with my start date to Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council. So I was able to take this one right from the get-go. And if you look at the map on the next page, this is as of the end of December of 2023. There's been a lot of interest, and as we'll see in a couple of slides, when we really start to talk about the financial benefits of this program, these numbers are starting to go up fairly quickly because there's a lot of grant money that's on the table. The next slide is just a picture of our region at the end of December of this year, or this last year. We were able to do all of that in less than 3 years' time. So $710 in match-free grant money that went to communities in our region. I believe the estimated carbon reduction from the environment based on all of the high impact actions completed in our region is something north of 550,000 metric tons, which is the equivalent of the energy needed to power 70,000 single family households per year. So all of the stuff that all these communities are doing, it's having a tangible impact. And where my role really comes in is, how do I help guide communities through that program so that as they accomplish things, they can get the credit for it and then in turn bring in match-free funding.
So just a quick question. So you're not competing against other communities.
No.
You're essentially competing with yourselves to implement these programs to get where I know you're going with these points, to get the funding.
And that's a great point. So this isn't a competitive program.
Right.
Any of the funding that you earn through this, the grant application itself is more of just an explanation on how you want to use the money. So it's not a competitive program. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a really important point. So as long as there's still money available in the hopper, there's the ability for communities to come in and claim it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. If you want to switch to the slide that says 3.0 brings substantial changes. When this program launched in December of 2023, to kind of put that $25 million number into perspective, the version that launched when I started in 2021 was supposed to run through the end of 2025, and there was a $17 million allocation for that 5-year period. We were burning through that money very quickly, especially in our region. So this new program is actually a huge blessing, because we probably would have tapped out our regional allocation midway through this year, if not towards the end of this year. Now we have $25 million that needs to go out statewide by the end of next year. So the way that this program is now structured through a lot of these new items and the tiers, it's really meant to help communities stack points really, really quickly, and then access large sums of grant money really, really quickly.
If I may.
Yeah.
So we're not competing, but we're in a race before the money dries up.
We want to get the money.
We want to get the money.
Is that, so how fast might this money dry up based on
That's a
what
great
we're
question.
seeing and pacing?
So since the program launched about 3 months ago, we've seen about 5 million of that 25 go. But I want to put an asterisk on that, because there was a lot of communities that were like right at the precipice of earning grant money. So I think what's going to happen is that's going to start to dry up a little bit. And anybody that was really ready to claim grant money when the program started has already come to the table and taken that out. So I think we're going to start to see a little bit of a slowdown. The Village of Pittsford is actually one of the communities that benefited from this right away. When the new program launched, they sent me the numbers for their decorative lights, and that turned out to be a $15,000 grant item. So there's a $15,000 match-free grant that's already coming to the village that you've earned, and we'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slides. But the real change to this program that I want to draw attention to is these multiple designation levels. In the last round of the program, the Village of Pittsford probably could have tapped out somewhere around $30,000, just based on how the program was structured and some of the difficulties and challenges in completing some high-impact action items. Now it's entirely rational and reasonable, depending on what the village wants to do, that you could get to the 5-star designation and pull down every chunk of money in between. So this isn't one of those programs where like you got to cash in your chips and go home. This just continues to accumulate over the life of the program. And then as you unlock each of these individual levels, that's the grant funding that comes with it. So, and actually just let's skip right to the slide about the Village of Pittsford itself. A clean energy community. You're actually an advanced clean energy
So
community.
before we go to
Yeah.
that, so the 2 slides before, the designation grants before October 1st.
Yes, thank you, let me explain that.
After October 1st,
Yes,
it looks like the money's going to be a little less.
a little less. And the
So
reason,
if you can do it sooner, you might get more once you hit that designation.
correct.
Yep.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
So there's a
before
little bit of
October.
an accelerated path to get more money.
And the reason for that is NYSERDA is trying to have as much of this money kind of spoken for project-wise by September of this year.
Okay, so not only are we with a race with other people,
I wouldn't worry so much about other people.
but we're certainly in a race with
Yeah.
October 1st.
No, because if you look at the money that's available after October 1st through the end of 2025,
Yeah,
there's still a substantial increase on what the village can earn if it goes after October 1st.
You're right, it's a little bit less, but we can still get money.
125, 135, it's $135,000 less.
It is $135,000 less.
I'm hearing that.
But I also want to point out too that the village is in a really good position based on what it's already done for this budget year coming up. So as it stands right now, the village has 1,800 points, but we know that there's a Climate Smart Communities application underway. And if I remember correctly, you were well over 200 points.
Yes.
So this is going to be an exercise in pulling documentation together to get that submitted for the village to become a Climate Smart community. Then that's going to be another 800 points. I'm helping work on right now an LED light conversion for the streetlights. That will be a big saver in and of itself. To give you an example of the effectiveness of that kind of a project, the Village of Perry converted 363 lights a couple of years ago for about $7,800. The first year, they saved $28,000 on electricity to provide street lighting. So the project had essentially a negative payback period. And I think based on the number of fixtures that are in the village and the fact that a lot of them look like they could be newer, to be honest, I think that there would be a substantial savings monetarily for that, but that would also come with a huge point total. So just between those two items right there, we're at 1,500 points. We've already exceeded 3,000 points. And that's a $50,000 grant that's coming once we submit those items. So we know that that's here, that's in the bank. We also know that we can do benchmarking, and that would be on any of the municipal facilities over 1,000 square feet. That actually becomes a great capital planning tool, because what that'll do is allow us to see what the energy looks like in the building in terms of usage. It also entitles the village to a free energy audit. So you can use that energy audit on any municipal facility, and then the information that comes out of that would say, these are the things that need to be fixed right now. These are things that you can kind of plan for down the road. And it can be something that's used to help you budget as you start to look at making buildings more energy efficient. And then the last one being, is my understanding is that there's an EV budgeted for 2024 for the village. That'll be a
We're in our budget cycle.
Yeah.
So tentatively,
Yep.
That would be a 500-point item, because you would get 300 points for the vehicle, and then you would get another 200 points for the charging station that you would need to power said vehicle.
Okay, so just a quick question.
Yeah.
These items that are necessary to get these points.
Yeah.
Where can we go to see a list of them?
We're getting there.
Okay, so that's one question.
Yep.
With regards to some of the items, does it have to be a completed project, or can it be, as you just said with the EV, a budgeted project? What happens if we are trying to create a budget structure where we're funding vehicles, but it's not specifically identified as EV? Does it not count, even though that would be the goal embedded in the capital improvement plan, hypothetically? The other quick question is, so when you hit a point total, so this goes to the truck comment, we budget for a truck, the truck could be $60,000, $70,000. And then just because of that, we get over a designation and we get 100 grand. It's not that the 100 grand is buying the truck. That 100 grand is just coming to us.
Correct.
To our general fund, to anything we want.
Anything that would help you with energy efficiency related stuff.
Yeah, it is.
It's gotta go to,
It is part of what it's geared to a positive outcome for municipalities, as I understand it, to implement sustainable projects throughout their municipality.
And one of the things that has been talked about in some of the meetings that we've attended is looking at this building and maybe doing some work here. So you could do that project in phases. Yep. And then use the money from this program as you hit benchmarks to pay for that.
So for example, putting in a new HVAC.
Yeah.
Right, something like that we could use this money for rather than buy a truck.
Absolutely.
Okay, so next quick question. Will this list of things that we need to do to get points tell us how big a vehicle we need to buy that is EV?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We're rapidly getting there.
All right, great, thank you.
I just want to clarify, it was $42,000 for the truck.
And that would actually be less than that, because you're now entitled to direct pay, which is a new government program that allows municipalities to claim the same tax incentives as private residents. So you could buy that truck for 42. Once you completed that purchase, you could then turn around to the government and say, we've purchased this truck. And then you would be entitled to the same $7,500 tax credit that you or I would be.
I'm sorry, I should specify.
You netted it out.
After the rebate.
You netted it out.
$49,000 quoted for a state contract.
He did the math already for
So
you.
you got a tax credit.
All right. But where we're going is, there's a big list of stuff to get points.
That's the next slide.
And we got to figure out how we want to get those points.
And that's kind of where my role comes in too, is my job is to make this as efficient a path as possible. So in trying to guide the village through this, I've really tailored this slide deck to things that are easily achievable, or things that I know that are already being talked about potentially as projects that could be completed. So the slide right here where it says which high impact actions are right for your community, that is everything that is available in this program. You'll see some that are in a darker green. Those are ones that the community has already either completed or is in the process of completing. The only one that you're not eligible for is county hosted training, simply because this isn't a county. So as a county, you can't host those because you're only a village, not only a village, you're just not a county. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go through some of these high impact action items that, based on kind of projects and plans that you've already talked about, and how those would impact your program viability and where you would be able to unlock additional money. So the next slide here is a clean energy upgrade. And this is really looking to your point about the HVAC upgrade and installation. So on a building like this with an older boiler system, you're probably looking at more than a 10% reduction in efficiency. I would say you're probably looking closer to 20 or 25%. So as you'll see on that next page here, you would actually get 1,000 points for that as opposed to 500 because you have an increased efficiency. And that's one of the changes in the program. This last round, it didn't matter how efficient your project was, you got 500 points regardless, take it or leave it. Now, a project like the one that you're talking about doing on Village Hall would absolutely be a tier 3. That's another 1,000 points.
Wow.
Once we hit, let's say we spend the money and do an HVAC that qualifies like this, we
Sure.
spend the money and then we get the grant. That grant can pay back that cost, or does it have to be a forward-leaning project?
It's got to be a forward-leaning project, which is why I would recommend chopping it up and trying to do it in phases if possible.
Hang on. Yes, we just had a mind meld. Okay, go ahead.
The hope is, this is where we have budgeted to use reserve funding to do with the existing grant that we have for the hall to pay for the HVAC, which would help trigger this.
This is the repurposing of the grant that was to be used for the egress here. We're going back to the dormitory and, using it for HVAC.
The restoration of the pillars.
Yeah, restoration of the pillars.
Electric.
It's $100,000.
Electric, the balconettes. The key thing with the dormitory grant, it has to be used for things that are brand new. It can't do restoration.
Right.
It can redo the outside of the pillars because that will be brand new. It can do HVAC because that's brand new. The concrete for the balconets, it can do because that's brand new. So it's key, it can't do restoration.
But to Rob's point, I think, which is if we can hit that next threshold without having the HVAC needing to be done using the dormitory money, then when we get it, we could use it for the HVAC rather than using the dormitory money for the HVAC. So the key here is thinking about, as we come into these grants, you got to have green projects down the road that you're going to spend the money on.
Right.
If we spend the money, I'll say your money, right, our money, the CEC money on the HVAC, by doing that, do we then also get more points? Okay, so this leans into me thinking, to the degree that we get any money, big projects, I'd rather lean into the grant and try to get there with small projects rather than use a big project in the dormitory money, right? So.
Well, then we'll forego the dormitory.
No, let's find some other things for the dormitory money.
It could only stay with this building, and it has been identified by the previous board and brought back to this board as well, and we all took a look at it. And so this is.
Yeah, it's the key there, and this is the concern.
It's the restriction of the dormitory.
It's the restriction of using it. So then we have to find $50,000 to spend that benefits
this building. I think we can do that without it being the HVAC.
Well, the windows, no.
Oh, we can't use it for the windows. Nope, it's a restoration.
Because
It's
that's
not
a
new.
restoration.
We really went through the entire list.
So, we're welcome to go back and
This
look.
could be basement refurb.
No.
Can be restoration. Exactly.
We'll send out the information to you guys, because I think it's.
The other thing that I'll do too is when I send the packet to the mayor, I'll include all of the high impact action items, so you can take a look at the scope of the program, because I really tried to keep it simple because it's like drinking out of a fire hose. If I try to present the same thing all at the same time.
But this is good though, because it tells us if we can hit the 50,000 mark with some smaller projects.
We're gonna hit that.
We're hitting that.
Then we can pay for the HVAC hypothetically instead of a vehicle, and then get more points.
Or put it towards another sustainable project if we know that the grant we already have must fund something new in this building. In other words, we would have a larger scope of what we could do throughout our municipality.
The other thing that I can do too when I send the slide deck is I'll send you a list of eligible projects that you can use the money for that NYSERD has already re-stamped.
Right.
I agree with all this, but I guess what I'm saying is, for the HVAC unit, which is a big ticket item, to get 1,000 points, whereas there might be 3 small ticket items.
Well, you would actually, so if you let me go on this, you're gonna see that HVAC building it's gonna be a much bigger.
Right, and also if we use the grant funding, repurpose it for the HVAC, we still get all the points.
Correct.
We still get all the points to go towards even more.
Right, but what's the even more? What's the other big project?
He's getting there, and we just to kind of bring you on.
You could end up getting the truck free.
Yeah, in other words, it starts to really accumulate in
And
it.
that, and a small few other things with the way Rob's planned things out, we talked about possible solar and DPW, which call all their electric. If we get to the next point level, which is 5,000 points, it's $100,000 that would pay for the DPW upgrade.
All of it,
All of it.
right.
And I want to
Let's bring Rob back.
Yeah, and I want to
He's
highlight
for us.
the elective direct pay slide.
Yep.
That's a really, really, really important one, because I mentioned earlier, now municipalities are eligible for 12 tax credits that private residents were only eligible for before. And included in that is solar. So if you wanted to put panels on the top of Village Hall or on top of DPW to try to make that a net zero building, there would be tax credits that you would be eligible for on the back end. These are also not competitive. So as long as you stay within the guides of the actual tax credit itself, that's money that you would have coming back in. And then an example I can give you is, we put geothermal on my house 3 years ago now. And when we had that project scoped out, they told me it was going to be $43,500 without any rebates or incentives. The final price was $23,500 because we got rebates on the equipment and then we got a huge tax credit. So for example, if the town, or I'm sorry, if the village were to do a $300,000 HVAC project on this building, just throwing a number out there, and it met the requirements, you would then be eligible for that same 30% tax credit that I was, which means that once that project was completed and you filed the paperwork with the IRS, you'd be getting $90,000 back. So the direct pay is a really big deal, and it's something that municipalities really should be aware of, especially as they're looking at doing any type of energy efficiency work or any type of electrification, because by following the process that's there, you can recoup large chunks of money from your investment. And I've included all the links in this are live, so you can click on that link down there and it'll take you to information on direct pay. Once you have the actual digital slide deck, I'll also send you a list of all the tax credits from the IRS in a really nice form that they created where it's all really well laid out. But to your point about what's next, right? So you do this HVAC project on this building and you make that investment. Well, now you've put an air ground source heat pump potentially on this building. So now you have the opportunity to do a demo. And the demo is very, 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 very simple. It's a table or a kiosk that you put out in the front there, and it's information about the project. This is the technology we use. This is why we decided to go this way.
And this is for the community and for our residents, and what it does is it shows through this program that we're, as a municipality, implementing best practices.
It also gives a really high level of transparency. Because,
yes, exactly.
As you're looking at justifying your spend to taxpayers, hey, this is how many kilowatt hours a year we're saving by making this conversion, and this is how much natural gas we're not using anymore because of the conversion that we've made. One of the items in here, benchmarking, I'll actually build a portal for the village and put 2 years of back utility data in there. And then as we start to make improvements on this building, we will actually see empirically a drop in the kilowatt usage and the cost that you're using to provide services. So that's kind of a cool add-on. But, to the mayor's point, you put this table out here, that's at least a 700-point item, just by putting a table out, saying, hey, this is the project that we did, this is who we worked with, hey, here's some information maybe for residents who want to look at doing similar projects on their homes.
And plus, we want to share it. And then my understanding, too, as part of this program with the outreach to residents, that if they want to put in heat pumps and things like that, that we get additional points in our community by working with our residents. And I met with a couple of residents a few weeks ago, and they're interested in putting in heat pumps, and I'm like, hold that thought, we're going to work with you.
We'll talk about the community campaigns in a few minutes. But just if by chance you were able to make this as close to a net zero building as possible, it would be at least a 1,200 point addition,
which gets us to the
1,000 that you get for the building upgrade. So it would potentially be like a 2,300 point item as opposed to 1,000.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a quick question. If you happen to know off the top of your head, does the program distinguish between ground and air source heat pumps? Or
They love them both.
Okay.
And obviously, I'm going to encourage the municipality to do what's right for them fiscally. They're both great technologies. They both have their strengths. I went geothermal simply because I just wanted all my stuff in the ground and I didn't want it out. but I could have gone air source heat pump and it was happy.
I don't want to have to tear up Jeff and Dorothea's parking spots.
And that's a fair point.
Probably more than
That's a
that.
very fair
I
point.
know.
I'd almost fight you.
But, the program is geared to a positive outcome.
Yep.
That's really what I'm seeing, and it's just really, putting together the projects and how we want to move forward with sustainable initiatives.
So if we look at the next slide with renewable energy, so this would be, we were talking before about panels on DPW or panels on this building. But that's the bottom one right there, clean energy generation installation owned by a municipality. And this is something that you can use the money on in this program. You can also claim money back through the elective pay process through the IRS. And depending on how much you actually generate from your own array, whatever you guys have decided to install, that would determine how many points you would get towards your building project. So again, we're still talking about the same building, we're all still talking about the same project, but all three of these items stack up to about 3,000 points potentially.
Wow.
And now we're talking about over 7,000 points, $275,000 and more money, and within touching distance of 9,000 points and $350,000 in additional money. And again, that's all match free, which is like a unicorn in New York State. You don't have any kind of 50% or in kind or anything like that, so.
It's direct grants.
Right, so when we were talking about the long-term capital plan, that makes it even more important that we separate this into its own long-term capital plan, right? So that we can kind of have it set aside. It's a very different process.
I mean, it affects the
Big
master
picture, I
plan.
agree, but it's so differently implemented.
Oh, absolutely.
So we really need to
Right,
understand
and
that.
so last week, we had a 2-hour meeting where you guys really just drilled down with, all of us here, and just really went through all kinds of components and, where we are now. That's why you're seeing some of it on these sheets.
Yep.
But we also have a ridiculously huge spreadsheet, which is great, which tracks all of this. And we have it printed out in large format for a copy for all of us. It's a master copy that we're keeping here in Village Hall. I mean, we can send it to you all and you can look at it on your computer, but it's pretty unwieldy. But we have a hard copy if you want to take a look to see, the opportunities really.
And what's cool about that program is it's designed so that everything that you accomplish in the CEC program directly carries over to the CSC program.
And tell them what the CSC program is, just so.
We're getting there.
Okay,
I got you.
I know.
Benchmarking, just real quick, this is that process that I was talking about where I'll build that portal. A couple of co-benefits for that. One being that you can actually use it to troubleshoot. So if you're seeing a consistent usage in one of your buildings, and then all of a sudden there's a spike, you didn't have extra events, you didn't have people in there doing work, you didn't have meetings, it means there's probably something wrong in that building. So let's troubleshoot that now, as opposed to maybe 4 or 5 months from now, when we might have a much greater expense to correct the issue. The other thing that it does, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, is as you make changes to the building and it becomes more energy efficient, you'll actually be able to run reports out of that portal for things like grant applications, or for residents that they want to see the impact of a project, or as validation that you guys are doing the type of work that you're saying that you're doing when you're looking at other lines of funding. So this is a process that it's really critical also to proving that you've done energy upgrades. So that's why I kind of take this one away from the community, because it's the biggest lift in the entire program. And I want to make sure that you guys have the right benchmark to start out from.
So this is really where you can plug in and help us with
Yes.
this. Okay.
Yep. We mentioned electric vehicles real quickly. That's the next slide. The big change for this one is that they will now accept non-duty or non-road vehicles as a submission. So for example, if you were to get like a Gator to use for your park maintenance and that ran on a battery, you could now submit that where you couldn't in the last round of the program. The primary change though that is meant to really entice municipalities is this tiers here with EVs themselves. For larger communities that are looking to really expand out their fleet, I don't know if you need 6 vehicles here, but 1 or 2 would have a benefit, and it would be points that would add towards ultimately what you're trying to accomplish in the CEC and the CSC program. The other thing too is that if you're going to get a municipal vehicle that has to be charged, you're going to get a charging station with that.
So that brings in more.
Correct, and that charging station doesn't have to be public facing, especially if it's intended for a municipal vehicle. It just has to be owned and operated by the municipality itself.
Could you just speak on charging stations in general?
Absolutely. So we're kind of at a junction right now where,
That's the next page.
yeah, we've got charging stations in really two varieties. You have the level 2 chargers, which are the ones that you see primarily in municipal buildings or libraries. Those are the ones that if you plug in for a couple hours, you'll maybe get 20% of your battery back. The DC fast chargers are a whole different beast, and they require much more energy to operate in general. But those are the ones that if you plug your car in for a half hour, you're gonna get like 80% of your battery back. So, I would recommend if you're looking at putting any of those in, you'd want to put them in at places where you have high traffic, like right over here, because those are going to allow people to cycle in and out. Whereas if you have the level 2 chargers and stuff like that, it might take people longer to vacate that spot. And then that's where you might run into, I've seen some communities with concerns about, like somebody will park their car there for 8 or 9 hours. And then now nobody else can access that space.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about putting zoning or some kind of restrictions and times in place. Honestly, there's several different routes that you can use to do charging stations. There's a ton of different state programs you can do.
Can you bill for this? I mean, can we charge the?
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Good.
We cover it.
Absolutely.
And is it based on how long they're there? So if they have a DC charger, they hit max and it just stays, we just continue to bill?
Yep.
You can for the amount of time that's plugged in, not so much the time that it's drawing energy?
So what'll happen is once, to your point, that hits a max battery, it'll start a different clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a smart system.
Okay, good, because,
Yeah.
Because now that's an occupied space that somebody else can't use.
and I always thought to myself, why can't I just click off and let somebody else park next to it and let them be able to unplug it?
So we don't have our own parking attendant. Is this like a?
No, we don't
This would
need it.
just operate on its
Yeah.
own? It
It's an
wouldn't have to-
ad-lib.
Yeah, it's an ad.
It's called ad-lib.
It
It's an
wouldn't
ad.
have to be its own district or?
Mhm.
it could
There's
just-
chargers right now behind the library. People
Yeah.
just hook up and
It's
charge.
got
It's not ours
Yes.
though, I guess.
No, but I'm just saying that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
process that they
Yeah.
use.
But none of those
Yeah.
right now, the library or the ones over, none of these have a fee for.
Yeah, they made a decision to kind of get people accustomed, because they recognized it was a cultural change and for early adopters at that point, because they've been in for a number of years. And I think they may be changing
Yeah.
that too.
That's a
And
lot of
As long as
points though for charging stations. How much do these chargers cost?
the DC fast chargers are not inexpensive.
Yeah, they're up there.
I'll put that as politically as I can. The other thing too is with those, you need a massive power source. Because for as quickly as they're charging those vehicles, you need to have a conduit there that can handle that type of power. Whereas with the level 2 chargers, you have less of that and you can actually build out space to, they call it future proofing, so that if you ever have a spot where you needed to add additional chargers down the road, you would have the capacity to do that. With the DC fast chargers, that's much more difficult to do and they're much more difficult to place, especially because of the demand for the power.
Are
Can
most
they-
municipalities level 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I just anecdotally, I thought.
Most of them are doing level 2s.
Yeah,
The village of Medina got about $200,000 to put 3 of the fast chargers in, and they're still awaiting the installation on those. So once we have some more data about, like, do those actually get utilized, that'll be really helpful.
yeah. Dave, you had another question?
You're charging enough to make money on them in the end, right?
As long as you're charging more than, like, a little bit more, you can charge whatever you want, quite honestly. The closer that you can stay to the market rate for electricity, so it's closer to what they're paying when they're charging at home, the better.
Yep.
But as long as you're charging more than that, you're never going to lose money on these.
Yeah. So you put them in, charge just over what it costs in the home. The spread essentially can come back and pay for the cost of the item. So essentially, your gas station.
And if you charge a little bit more, you can also potentially become a revenue line.
But
not a huge one, depending on how
you're not
you put it in.
intentionally trying to make money as much as just cover your costs.
Right.
There's something over the transom.
And the more access that you have for people with EVs, the more people are going to come into the community.
That's right.
It's a huge
Yeah.
economic development piece.
Interesting.
Yeah, Zach, you wanted to have a,
I was just gonna say, I think most of those fast chargers charge between like 50 and 60 cents per kilowatt hour for charging. Typical rate that we pay for energy usage here would be like 14 to 16 cents per kilowatt hour. So,
But with those DC fast chargers, you're paying a premium.
For
Yeah.
convenience.
You're paying a premium service for the convenience of being able to charge that
Right,
much
but
faster.
the service is more for visitors, not so much for residents?
Yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, most people with an electric vehicle are gonna come down to the village and they're gonna have battery left on their car. So really what they're looking to do is just hook up so that while they're down here eating lunch and
Right.
shopping, they can keep their battery up.
Yeah.
Yep. Where the DC fast chargers are really good are like huge thoroughfares, like the 390 corridor or off the throughway,
Yep.
where you want to have quick turnover, you want people to be
Right.
able to hook up and get off as fast as possible. And
Which isn't
maybe,
really the type of community that we are. So
No.
then the next question is, can you share the cost or share the profitability of the level 2 chargers? So for example, if we have properties that have parking lots that are in the village, could we contract and work with them to install these at that pace?
absolutely.
And then give them a percentage of the revenue or the profit, and then we,
Yeah, I'm thinking of Shane Place.
I'm
'cause
thinking
we're
of
going
a
on
lot
it.
of interesting.
You know, yeah.
Can we put one of these on the canal for electric boats?
Yeah, we should be able
Does
to
that
at
count?
some point.
Yeah, that's an EV charger.
Should be able to.
It's an EV
There's not
charger.
many of those around.
But essentially, the way that this is designed is, you know, if we were to look at doing a project down at Shone Place,
Yeah.
where you put multiple of these in, they could stack up really quickly.
Right.
And now we're not talking about a 200-point item, we're talking about a 1,200-point item.
What's the cost of like a standard level 2 charger?
So there's a lot of utility programs and state programs that you can utilize to keep the cost of those down. The big one that they've kind of taken away from us is ZEV, which is zero emission vehicles. And that one covered a lot of the cost for municipalities. I would say a tentative estimate right now for a level 2 charging station would be like 4,000 or 5,000.
Wow, that's pretty affordable, especially if you're charging it back.
And that was put in the budget at one point.
It was in the budget at one point,
Yeah.
and we pulled it.
Yeah,
And
then we
I
pulled it.
actually, I have a group that I work with, partly because I know that they're not going to try and sell a community something they don't need.
Mhm.
But what they'll do is they'll have a discussion with the board. They'll say, what are you looking to accomplish? What are the important places that you think these charging stations can go? And then they'll actually come off the community and they'll look at the power supplies and they'll see what they can do to make that project work. Then they'll actually write the grants for the community and do the grant management.
Oh, we like that.
You don't have to do that.
Is this the folks at Siemens or is
Value Stack.
Value Stack?
Yeah, but Value Stack works with Siemens quite a bit and Chris Cat quite a bit.
Yeah, Chris, I know. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I just got an estimate back, one of the estimates, I've been shopping, I got one of the estimates back for a 2-headed level 2 charger, $3,800.
Really?
It's cheaper than I thought.
Yeah, it's going to come down then. Wow.
It has come down, that's great.
There's still the cost of actually hooking it.
Oh, sure, but.
But the actual unit itself.
Yeah, the unit.
That was.
The hookup?
Well, that was installed.
To run the electric and put the unit out in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Because I can run right now.
Okay, so we'll circle back on that.
So the next slide
Go
is
back in the budget.
the Climate Smart Communities Program, which is the one that we touched on a little bit earlier, that we've been
Yeah.
working with my colleague at Genesee Finger Lakes, Rachel, who supports that program the same way that I support CEC. And without a doubt, the village is a bronze certified community. I think it was 239 points out of 120 needed to be a bronze certified community. So you're actually closer to the next level
Yeah.
of designation than you are bronze.
Yeah, we're heading towards silver.
And this next slide here really shows how that program and my program kind of coalesce. So, you initially have a municipality that's starting out looking to save money on electric bills or utility bills. And then that's where my program is great, because it really focuses on municipal utility reduction.
Mhm.
As communities start to accomplish that stuff and they want to do more things, like some of the things that I've heard talked about with the Arboretum tonight in the meeting, a lot of that stuff is part of the CSC program already. So, to the fact that you guys had 239 of 120 that you need for bronze certification, that's literally because of the way that the Village of Pittsford operates and the way that you do business day to day.
Mhm.
So it's a really strong statement about the commitment that you've made to the community and the commitment that you've made to maintaining green space and sustainability. That's really what that program looks at, and how you interact with residents to make them successful, and how you work with businesses, the events that you hold. You were talking about the Arbor Day
Arbor
event.
Day.
All of that stuff is a part of the CSC program where it's
And
not
that we're
really
a
part of
tree
mine.
city, and that we put in our pollinator corridors
Yep.
and gardens, and
Yep.
native street trees and
Yep.
invasive removal.
And at the same time, everything that you guys accomplished in my program also goes into this for points as well. So it's intentionally designed that way, quite honestly, because the CSC program is a multi-agency effort with DOT, Department of Health, DEC, Department of State, they all contribute to the curriculum. So it's a bigger program, but this is a great community for that program. And it's a great fit for this community, especially because of the projects that you have underway and the commitment that the residents have to keeping the community walkable and green. We're almost done, you guys are doing great. To the mayor's point, we were talking before about outreach campaigns and things that we can do for outreach. There's two that I really want to talk about. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on electric vehicles because I think that one's tough, but community solar and clean heating and cooling are both very, very achievable, especially when you consider you can start these now and they can run until the end of 2025. So as long as you start these out and we get the scoping documents submitted, if the village were to get 10 people to sign up for a community solar campaign, which is the one that saves money every month, it's credits that come back from a solar array. It's not and ever going to cost the resident more money. If you were to get 10 people to sign up for that, that would be 200 points and a $5,000 grant.
What does that even mean, sign up?
So what we would do is through a community campaign, the village would say, hey, we have this opportunity for residents. If you sign up, you're entitled to save, it's usually 9 to 11% of your utility bill gets credited back every month. It shows up as a line item on the utility bill itself as credits, but there is no cost or charge for being part of a community solar project.
So there's no installation of anything. This is
Still
just,
goes through.
so this is like.
It's just saying you use energy that is sustainable.
Yeah, there's somebody I
It's the
pay
same-
as part of my RG&E.
Same
bill.
delivery mechanism, same lines.
Yeah, so I have on my RG&E bill a line item that I'm paying for solar and clean energy, right? I don't know if I pay a premium or discount. They say I get a discount. I don't really care. I just do
So
it.
you're already a part of that.
So are you saying just people do that too?
Yep.
You just go around and get people to sign up, and how do you know that they sign up?
So what we would do through that scoping document is we would identify a partner. I actually have a call tomorrow with somebody who may or may not have a large community solar installation opening up and is looking for people to sign up. That provider would then become the provider of record as opposed to RG&E, but it would still be the same transmission, it would be the same delivery, it would just be a different source.
Billed separately?
Yes, but it would be on the same bill. So it would not.
As a line item on your RG&E bill?
Correct. So instead of paying the supply for RG&E, this would be your
I
supply.
thought we did this.
We didn't, we ended up not doing, remember this,
But I
Justin?
think
This
we-
was
Vaguely.
like
I don't
right
know
when we first
exactly.
were on the board,
Yeah.
and it was something. with
But I
the-
think we did the community solar portion.
We never did it.
I don't think so, because I think there were some issues, because I remember the town was trying to do it. Do you remember this? The town was trying to do it, then they said no, because there was an issue with the rates, once people
That was
signed
that
up.
was CCA.
Thank you, that's what
But
it
there
was.
was
Segregation.
something in conjunction that went out
Yes.
for community solar, because I
Yes.
think we received something.
Can we trace that maybe?
I can tell you exactly what it was. So the
Okay.
last round of the program had community choice aggregation with an add-on for
Yes,
out
okay.
CDG.
Okay.
What is it?
So essentially what happened is the Public Service Commission realized that if you have opt-out CDG, you really don't need community choice aggregation.
Oh.
Because community choice aggregation is a fixed rate, it's a volatile market for the commodity. If you sign an agreement at 7 cents a kilowatt hour and then it drops,
That was the issue.
you're in trouble because now you're paying potentially twice per kilowatt hour what everyone else is paying.
That was the issue.
Community solar is the part of that where you sign up to take some of your power from an existing solar array, and then because you're taking it from a renewable source, they put credits on your
There's a
delivery.
credit.
So what would be the drawback to that? Like, why would people not want to do this?
I don't think there is a drawback. I think it's an education opportunity. I think for people, they hear solar, they're immediately cringe, and rightfully so. There was a lot of bad players in the ESCO space 10, 15 years ago that did a lot of very nefarious things that we're still trying to combat today. And that's honestly, this is kind of why a community campaign is a great idea, because instead of having somebody going door to door trying to shop this kind of thing to your residents, you as the village are saying, no, this is our program, this is our campaign, this is the trusted vendor that we're going to use, and if you're interested in doing this, we have gone through and done the work to make sure that this
It's
is safe
vetted
for you.
for the resident.
Yeah, so to that end, if we have 100 participants, we're gonna get a $20,000 grant, just,
If you were to get 100 participants down at that end, that would be 160, that would be $35,000 in grant money.
oh, because it's stacked.
Correct.
Okay,
The other one, to the mayor's point, that's a really good one to look at doing is the clean heating and cooling, especially right now because of direct pay
Yeah.
and those
That's a good
incentives that
one.
are available to residents. So this is exactly the same thing. It's the community saying, hey, if you're interested in doing this kind of work, we have gone through, we have vetted these participants, we have vetted these installers, they are safe to come in. I sat on the RFP process to review the people that would potentially be installers for these community campaigns. So I know that anybody that's going to be coming into your house is quality because we've removed 2 vendors since the program started. One because they were trying to sell people systems that they didn't need or that were oversized, and the other because we found out that they were just behaving really badly in people's homes.
And so this would be, again, then we would hold a workshop for our residents, really make them aware of this.
And we would work with Climate Solutions Accelerator to do the
And then-
scoping documents.
Okay.
And then they could come do presentations for residents. They could do all sorts of things to support this, as could I.
And so there's points for that.
Yep.
And then there's points also for the residents if they choose to go ahead with this.
Correct.
Wow.
From the residents.
And then again, every level, every tier of this that you accomplish. So if you were able to get 30 residents over the next 2 years to install a ground or air source heat pump, that's an 1,800 point item, and that's another $35,000 in money.
does that 1,800 points transfer back to the CEC, or is it just the
CEC.
It is CEC points. So getting to 9,000 is either we spend the money and do stuff, or we get other people to sign up for programs that frankly could save them money or things they might be doing otherwise.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
And
It's
that's
pretty cool.
And that's why, when I approach this program, I don't really approach it probably the way that NYSERDA wants me to. And that I'm not really interested in getting every single community to do every single item in the program, because that's just not feasible. But, there's one more item for us to kind of talk about real quick in the electric landscaping equipment.
Before we move forward, just real quick,
Yeah.
Zach, did you have a question or a comment?
I was just
real quick.
curious if it would make any sense with all of this money that this could generate for the village, if it would make sense to offer incentives for the residents to move in that direction.
You can do that as a use of the grant money that's available. You just have to be very careful about how you phrase that, because it can't be viewed as a giveaway.
And they get incentives also for putting it in already, they get rebates, and, So, I mean-
Nice tax rebates.
Yeah.
even if we weren't doing this, there still would be an incentive independently for a
If they did it
homeowner to do this.
Sure.
Yeah,
We're just helping them, we're facilitating them, we're educating them and bringing them
and taking
along.
away the fear, like you said.
Yeah.
And you're giving them
That's
installers
the
that you
point.
know are going to be held to a certain grade, otherwise they're not going to be able to participate in the program. You can also add installers. So if you have a local business that
Mm-hmm.
has a really good reputation in the community that isn't maybe one of the installers just because they didn't submit an RFP, we can look at adding additional contractors too. It's really about who the village feels comfortable working with,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can then turn around to your residents and say, we feel safe giving you this option to work with this one.
Yeah, it's sort of like even with HPD, where the sort of recommended vendors, for,
right, right.
working on a sort of
Yeah.
properties and they really know what they're doing.
Yep.
Okay.
So the last kind of low-hanging fruit item that's new to the program is electric landscaping equipment. This is something that you can use the grant money from this program to pay for, but essentially to hit the level of that 5 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent annually, that's about 6 handheld units. So whether that's a chainsaw, a blower, a trimmer, something along those lines, or it's a lawnmower itself. We actually have the city of Geneva right now that is piloting a ride-on zero-turn electric lawnmower that's supposed to have an 8-hour battery function and be able to go the entire day.
For $25,000. Plug in.
But if we get the funding, depending on, anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
But so.
We do the shock rather.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
this is just another one that some communities have used as kind of a bridge one where, hey, we're at like 2,900 points or we're at 4,900 points. Let's just go get some of this stuff
Mhm.
so that we can submit it, and then we'll hit that next
Hit
tier
the
of
next.
the grant level. So if you guys want to go to the next slide, kind of just in summary, with all of the things that are low-hanging fruit that we've discussed and the things that are already kind of tentatively underway, we're looking at the village having 4,100 points, We know that that's going to come with $50,000 in match-free grant funding once we get that paperwork submitted. So we're now 900 points away from $100,000 in match-free funding. Just with the village building project alone that we talked about, that's potentially a 2,300 to 3,500 point item. So that puts us more in the range of like 6,400 to 8,900 points just with the building project that we've already talked about doing. We are within touching distance of that last level at 9,000 points, 5 stars for $250,000. And again, that's money that you can use to buy riding lawnmowers with. It's money that you can use to tighten up DPW. You can use it for any number of things, and I can help you be creative in writing those grants because I also do those for the community. Other than that, the last slide here obviously is not going to do a bunch of good on paper, but when we actually get you the digital slide deck, all of these links are live. So you can click on any of them and it'll take you exactly to where it's telling you. But other than that, I'm here to help. And my goal, if you take anything out of this presentation, is that I really want to come to the table as a partner and make sure that the administrative end of this is never something that's going to trip the village up from getting recognized for the work that it's doing and the work that it intends to do.
So with that in mind, we could come back to you and say, okay, we got all this stuff based on your understanding of what we're doing internally. Some of the things working through the budget we may or may not do. Some of the ordering of things may be a little different.
Sure.
But we can come back to you and say, hey, these are the things that we want to do. Where is this going to get us? Right? And then money comes in, and then where do we go next? So for example, ideas like the chargers, if we find locations that might make a lot of sense, right, we could do that. That might get us points faster than spending $150,000 on the HVAC or whatever the number, 50,000.
The only thing that I would
44,000, but the idea being that if the best thing we can do is maximize points for value spent.
Correct.
Get the grant and then keep doing that until we graduate up, until all of a sudden we come to a snail's pace because it's harder to do, but then we got the big money and then we can sink it into other things. So it's a little bit of a min-max game, right?
The one thing that I would say about the building though is the longer that you continue to delay doing that project, the opportunity cost for having the building run as it is high. Because you're spending a lot of money on utility right now that you might not need to be spending.
All I'm potentially suggesting.
I'm here to help you guys walk whatever path you feel like you want to walk. My goal is to make sure that whatever path you walk, we maximize what's available in terms of points and money.
Sure.
As we move forward.
And one other thing too about the HVAC system, it's really at the end of its useful life. And Steve, I know you can speak to that with, the oil burners.
We have 2 oil burners in the basement.
I know, are we 1 or 2 stars right now?
We're 1 star.
We're 1 star.
You'll be 2 stars once we hit 3,000 points.
Okay, so
we're close.
What are we at right now?
When we get...
Assuming nothing is done that is proposed, just what have we done?
You're at 1,800 points with what has been submitted right now.
So we're at 1,800.
Benchmarking will give us another 300 right now.
Thank you. So
and that's next on the agenda is benchmarking. And if we vote to approve the benchmarking resolution, we will get 300 more points right at this table tonight.
Okay, so we need 900 points to get to 2 stars, and that's going to get us 50 grand.
And the asterisk that I would put on that is that you have a climate smart application that's going to be worth at least 800 points once that's in and submitted.
Tell me more about that.
So that's the CSC program that's in there. That's the big spreadsheet that the mayor was talking about with all the program components. That's going to be an 800 point item once that's finished and approved.
When will that get done, do you think?
They're looking to submit in either April or July.
Yeah.
So within the next 6 months, that's 800 points that you're going to have.
We've been working internally on that, so we can fill you guys in.
So we're 100 points from being a 2-star designated, right? Okay.
We'll get the demo out in the front here, and guess what?
We'll get 50 grand. Yeah, right. Put a.
We got to do the project first.
We have to.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's what I'm at.
And we have Arbor Day.
Great presentation. Really appreciate it. This has put a lot of these things to light, and I think in my mind, I don't want to waste eligible projects. I don't want to waste the opportunity to pay for eligible projects by paying for them and not being able to retroactively pay for them. Meaning, if we hit 2 stars and we get 50 grand, that can get the HVAC. and that can roll. We might have some issues on who believes the order of things and what, but I think this is a great program. I think we try to roll it forward and really appreciate the.
And honestly, where the village is and kind of the momentum that you have already behind what you've said that we talked about doing, that 5-star designation is very attainable, especially if you guys do community campaigns and.
Right, I was gonna say, getting some community
A lot of
support, I think
outreach.
is gonna be easy.
Why wouldn't we do that?
Asking people to.
We want to do
Yeah,
that.
I think
So-
that.
So the other thing that I'll
needs to
do,
sell.
in addition to sending the email with the slide deck and the tax credits, is I'll send an email to Climate Solutions Accelerator, and we'll get that process started for the scoping document, for the community campaigns. Once those are in and approved, you guys can start tallying people for signups immediately.
And also, we're going to be doing a sustainability page on our website,
Yep.
and we get points for that.
Yep,
Because
that's
that's
a
another
CSC item,
component of
yep.
outreach, and we're going to show the community what we're doing and how we're tracking it.
Mhm.
So it starts to engage them
Yes,
and, expand the program.
but the direct ask campaign, I think, is gonna be really important.
That's a lot of points getting residents.
But I think
Yeah,
that, and I
that's
think
right.
it's gonna be a relatively easy
It's
sell.
here to a positive outcome, that's the thing, and I think our community would be very
Saturday.
receptive.
I mean,
Sign up day.
if
Right.
you guys are going to do an Arbor Day event,
Yep.
you could put tables out for both of those programs,
Exactly.
That's
and
true.
you could get people to sign up as they walk by.
Yep.
Do you need anything from us to continue on the direction of travel?
That would be the next item.
And that's a local law.
That's the one on benchmarking.
The other thing I would just ask is, do I have permission to kind of move forward to start working on the scoping documents for you guys? For the
I think that would be
community campaigns?
For the
fantastic.
community?
Yeah.
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 Do we need a motion,
Yeah.
or can we just say?
No, I want to make sure that I'm not stepping out of turn.
I think we're all
Thank
on
you,
board.
thank you so much for your
Are you
time.
an individual resource to us?
Absolutely.
You are.
So that number that's there is a cell phone number that's direct to me.
Yep.
Please feel free to call me or email me if you have any questions. Like I said, I really want to be a member of staff while we move through this process and help you guys maximize your participation involved.
Thank you.
Great, thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. And I
Thank
think
you
so much for your
Throat's
time.
better.
Actually, the drop helped.
The fisherman's chart.
Oh, so
I have an kindergartner, so I can't
good.
seem to.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks again, Rob, really.
Thanks, Rob.
This was so
Thank you.
helpful, I
Thank
think,
you
for
so
all of
much.
us.
If you guys don't see emails from me tonight, you'll see it tomorrow morning.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Drive
All
safe.
righty.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wow, a lot to digest, huh?
I have an electric lawnmower.
Oh, you rock. I have a push mower.
That's what it is, well, it's a push electric lawnmower, but I love
Those
mine.
are very easily attained.
I love them, I love
We need
it.
those funds.
Zero turn.
I know.
Yeah, the zero turn mower.
Yes.
Now, we got,
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, the town is also doing these programs, and I think the town hit silver, I think, they're at silver now. Yeah, they've been,
We got to do very, very little bit to become bronze for CSC, which then in turn throws the points to
yeah,
DE.
yeah. Steve's been really helping us track this internally and really reaching out, so we
And
appreciate all
I say
that.
that for Rob is great.
Yeah.
This is great, yes.
So
He's
knowledgeable.
all about trying to get, the money's there,
Yeah.
and he wants to give it out,
Yeah.
and, somebody's gonna take it.
Yeah,
And it's just reality, and like you were saying, Dave, you get to a certain point, you get to October 1st and that level drops, or we reasonably can get to certain levels prior to October and be in line for some very helpful money for this community.
yeah, so, and then actually, we already are internally putting essentially what we're now calling the sustainability capital plan or something, I don't know, something fancy schmancy. That'll be, separate, and we'll bring it back to the board, so you see kind of everything really laid out, And actually, Rob's going to help us with that too, so. Okay,
Rob
so,
Richardson Capital Plan.
yeah, there we should name it after him, right?
Yeah.
Good one, I like that. Okay, so the next item up, and we just had our discussion, is the proposed local law to establish the energy benchmarking requirements for the municipal buildings.
So can I just make a comment? So my concern, coming from historic preservation, does this affect, or will this be used in respect with not being able to override some of the regulations that we have in historic preservation? Like, for instance, putting solar roofs on all of our houses in the village. Like, I just get nervous about the fact that, yes, we want to be sustainable, we want to use sustainable energy, but is it going to affect our requirements or regulations in historic preservation?
Are you talking about
You're talking about the law?
benchmarking? or-
The benchmarking, yes.
Why, you're doing
That
nothing.
doesn't proceed.
Hang on.
It's information, that's it.
It's just information.
Hang on,
Okay.
yeah. It's a way of measuring our energy
Okay.
usage.
I just don't know, if I
monitoring.
don't want to be
It's-
utilized as a way to override our historic preservation.
And this is geared to our municipal buildings.
All
Only
they're
to
doing is reporting
Village Hall.
into usage and
and
the
Right,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hear where you're going, but I don't think that this is
Okay.
what this is addressing.
Dorothea, did you say this is local law, or, I think you said something was a local law, but this
Oh, I thought it
should
was
just be
a
a
local law.
resolution.
It's a resolution.
It is a resolution, you're right,
Why did I think at some point it was a
That's
local
okay, no,
law?
I was.
because you're doing the budget. Okay, so it's the resolution.
Okay,
Okay,
so we don't need
Yeah.
a public hearing, or?
No, it's just,
Just checking.
okay.
and Jeff, you wanted to tweak this a bit, right? Was this the one you
I
wanted?
haven't looked at it.
Yeah, so maybe, at this point, we should direct Jeff to just take a
Yeah.
look at it, make sure we're all in sync with the village and where it's going, and then bring it back. Do we have it at the next meeting? Is that possible, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next meeting, you mean, the 20,
In 2
The next regular meeting, yeah,
26.
yeah.
you need it a week before. I mean, I'm,
No, you don't, it's not a local law.
It's not a law, it's a resolution.
it could be a local law. I'm wondering why, what the difference is.
It's supposed to be a
Was I
resolution.
thought the previous one?
It only has to be a resolution adopted by the village in order to gain.
It's a resolution, I'm looking at
That's all it
it.
has to be?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's what you were saying, is these sample resolutions from Rob.
Yep,
Okay.
and then he can just customize it for us, just to make sure we're in sync. Okay, so there's that action, then it'll come back at our next regular meeting.
I think the
26.
distinction.
Make a motion to direct him
Yeah.
to do that. Who wants to make a motion? Yeah, with Jeff.
Distinction would be that if you were trying to do this with private property,
Mhm.
you'd want to make it a local law.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Right.
And it was originally, but we directed to change it to just be municipal buildings.
Yeah, I think he had sent 2 different versions,
Yeah,
so.
Rob recommends not getting into the private.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
You'll gain the credit for
Yeah.
just doing
Yeah.
municipally owned buildings. That's
Yeah.
it.
This makes more
Okay,
sense.
well, I'll make a motion that we direct Jeff to take a look at this proposed resolution then.
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Lightkit,
Aye.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Right,
motion passes.
okay. Where are we here? Now we're at our 6 PM public hearings
Yep.
Gosh.
in some other time zone. Okay, so the first thing up is we have the continuation of the proposed local law to override the tax levy limit. We don't have a full board here, and it is a supermajority vote. I don't know if we would want to defer it till Tuesday when Lily's back.
I don't think we'll leave back Tuesday, is she?
Uh,
Oh, she's not back Thursday.
She's not back
She's
Thursday.
she's out this week.
Do we want to move it? This brings up, okay, this is where we are. We have a budget meeting on Thursday.
Thursday.
And then we have our next budget meeting on the 20th, which is becoming a special meeting because, well, they're all special, let's be honest. Because we have the refuse district stuff, we have,
Oh, that's right, the
that's the
business
time frame,
plan.
we have to have the tentative budget.
Okay.
So there's a lot happening on the 20th. We can continue, to me, we can go ahead, it's a special meeting, continue this meeting.
I think that way we have
If
the
that's
full
what the
board.
board wants to do.
I mean, I think we have the full board and just take it.
I'm prepared to pass it tonight, but I know there may be some reservation on the board. I also don't mind deferring and just waiting to when it needs to happen.
Mhm.
And if that's referenced by any member on the board, I'm fine, just.
Okay.
I mean, I'm ready to vote to pass it, but I mean, we have to have a super majority.
So that means
Yeah.
everybody here has to vote
Everybody
to
needs
pass
4
it.
out of 5.
Yeah.
And so I think even.
Can we do a little
even just-
ask?
Yeah, I'm fine with this as well.
Okay, so I'm ready to pass it too. Let's bring it to vote.
I'll make a motion to,
Oh, wait, you gotta close the public
Hang on, we have to
hearing.
close the
We
meeting.
we have
first of
to
all-
open it to, we have to.
We already
reconvene
opened
it. Oh, we already-
Yeah, it's a continuation. Yeah,
Remember you asked
It's
to keep it
been
open,
open.
Justin?
public comment.
Okay, so is there anybody online who wishes to comment? Let's just make sure before
Yeah,
we,
good.
close it.
We have one attendee.
Oh,
Thank you.
thanks for hanging in.
Who is it?
No.
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know.
always know.
And they're shy, so
Okay,
You're shy.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so with that being said, is there
I'll make a motion, to close the public hearing
Second.
on the local law to override the tax levy limit.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Okay. Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay,
And I proceed.
another motion?
Yep.
Seeker.
Oh, seeker, thank you.
You have the
Boy, oh
secret
boy, and I had it written
document
down
in
in front of me, and you have the seeker forms.
So can we just make a motion to make this?
front of you. The one at the table is for the next local law, the other one is in your packet.
To identify it as a type 2? All right.
Probably you ought to authorize the mayor to sign
Part one, that'd be the first motion.
Right. And then adopt the conclusion, and then adopt the secret form and declare it. It's not a type 2.
So it's two separate,
Oh, thank you.
it's two separate motions.
All right. So then I make a motion to permit the mayor to sign and authorize the
Part 1,
Part 1
short form.
Short form,
for
okay.
the override of the tax levy limit.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then the second motion is
To
the,
adopt the findings in Part 2 and adopt a negative declaration.
because there's not a significant impact. Okay,
I make a motion to adopt the findings in Part 2 and adopt a negative declaration.
I'll second.
okay, roll call, please.
Okay. Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving along. Is there a motion?
To override the tax levy limit?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to override the tax levy limit. Do I have a second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're cruising in. Next up, and thanks, everybody. Okay, the rental registry law. And again, we would have to open the hearing and have seeker done. But we do seeker after opening the hearing, am I correct? Okay.
After closing the hearing.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say.
So before we close, has there been any public?
We have to open the
Oh, we
hearing.
have to open. the
Yeah,
hearing.
so I'd entertain a motion.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the rental registry law.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, is there anybody wishing to speak? Anybody online?
Just our same person.
Okay,
And we haven't received any additional emails that hasn't
It's
been
been-
I haven't
distributed.
received
This has
anything.
been all quiet on.
the Western Front, right.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion?
Make a motion to close the rental registry law, the public meeting,
Hearing, public hearing.
public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so it's back to the board. Is there any additional discussion from the board?
Looks
Or
good.
is there a motion?
I would,
Get a seeker then.
Oh, seeker, motion for
I would
seeker.
just from a comment standpoint say, I think it's great that we're doing this. I think it's appropriate for tenants to know that the premises are safe, to have the ability to go in and inspect. I think it helps us in many ways, making sure that, single families are, multifamilies, and that rentals are on the up and up for code throughout. I think it's very helpful as well for short-term rentals. So just with that in mind, I also want to recognize that, this is a new law and it's a new permitting process. There's going to be some tweaks and things. And so just be sure that as they come across it, everybody communicates. And if we need to update it, we update it accordingly.
Yep.
Right? Nothing's ever perfect. Hopefully it is, but if it isn't,
No, it'll be a learning curve.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
But it's a good starting point, I agree
Yeah.
with you. And Steve, thank you for your good work on this, and
Yes,
Jeff too, as well,
absolutely.
really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the next step would be for you to come forward with an application, what it would look like, and we say, yep, that looks
Draft
good,
one.
here you go, it's everything we need.
Yeah, I actually might have grabbed one from somewhere already.
There's no such thing as plagiarism
Yeah, that's
in a
right.
municipality.
All right.
Okay, so we have to
then the first thing,
Good template.
pass seeker.
Here we go, template, thank you.
Jeff, can you give me the language for the part one again?
Authorize the mayor to sign Part 1.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign part 1.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Is that what we defined it as on this?
Motion passes.
Next step.
It's,
Don't have to do second?
you do it like, yeah, okay, you could say it's
Yeah.
an unlisted action, and
But that's embedded in the part 1, so we don't have to
Right, right.
separate. Okay, great.
Okay,
So now, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the findings in part 2 and authorize the mayor to sign part 3.
it's,
that's fine. But it has to be a negative declaration,
we have to put that on the record, don't we?
And
determined to be.
have determined it to be a negative declaration for seeker.
I second.
Okay, roll call, please. Oh, she's ready.
Okay, Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so seeker's out of the way.
We did close the public hearing, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're moving at a really clipping pace. I know. Okay, so we did seekers, so is there a motion?
I make a motion to pass the local law for the rental registry. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Oh, we're cruising there.
Okay, yes.
I know. Okay, so the next thing up is, I know, and you guys have.
Thanks, Steve.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You take care. Okay, so this is where the proposed local law for the exemption of volunteer fire and ambulance workers, and then we passed a law, was it last year or the year before? And so what this is an amendment to the current law, and it's with the purpose of this, and this is at the state level, expanding it to include,
Spouses.
yeah, spouses, I think it was,
Of
widows,
deceased
right,
volunteer
yeah.
firefighters and
And so this is basically statewide now to amend what we have already put into place, so. I mean, I think it's a good thing, I think it's a good thing.
So is this based on new state legislation
Yeah.
that contains provision for states? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So.
So this is the, 5 or 10% reduction in local tax
Mhm.
for volunteer fire and ambulance? and-
Yeah.
Of their deceased spouse.
Okay. Do we just have to put this to public hearing?
Yes.
Yep.
I make a motion to move this to public hearing at the date and time Dorothy is about to reference.
March 26th at 6 PM.
Oh, boy, it's going to be a hot day.
I'll second.
All right. We'll call when we can.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next up, discussion on the multi-year financial and capital plan.
I skipped it, went right to eclipse.
Oh, the eclipse is eclipsing the plan?
Just an
It's an
update,
update on it, yeah.
working on the changes from the last meetings. Had a meeting yesterday with trustee Marshall, which was quite helpful. Going to work with Danielle, I need Danielle, to update the format in the sheets. And obviously, I'm going to try to have this all out to you tomorrow for our budget meeting on Thursday, along with updates to the budget. So as we're getting closer to a solid tentative.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How was it? when
So-
you work?
So I think this is the route that we'll need to travel. We have a lot of costs, we need to spend some stuff. There's going to be a slowdown in vehicles, there may be, maybe not as much on roads, but we put in bonds for South and Wood, right, which we already know we're likely to do. We bonded or spread out Southern Wendover?
We banned.
We're bonding Sutherland. The thought
Bonding.
was to go ahead and do it, bond Sutherland totally.
So the idea was to bond Sutherland. Part of that is just to see what a smoothing out of all the expenses may look like, because there's no way we're going to be able to finance it with cash or with reserves. So if it's got to get done, it's got to get done.
This is Sutherland?
This would have been Sutherland. So again, this is what's going into the capital plan.
Yeah.
2 major trucks were banded.
We're gonna ban it the first year for the one.
Yep, and then bond them both in the second year.
You got it.
Right, so in this instance, you have 2 truck, what is it, number 1 and 2, or what are they?
Yep,
The big
it's
ones.
1 and 2, the big guys.
The 2 $250,000.
The last I saw was those, that was removed, so.
No,
This is the update, we're
Yeah.
trying
And
to
then
rework
to me
it.
was-
I know,
Yeah,
because you were in the
We're working
conference.
on all the numbers, so what
We're
were the
trying to
2
run the
big
numbers.
expensive trucks? The $250,000.
Was it 1 and 3?
1 and 2.
Oh, 1 and 2?
So they were literally 1 and 2.
Both being $260,000.
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
Correct.
A piece.
Correct, so
Yes.
what I wanted to see was, what does it look like with those 2 trucks that are gonna last how long?
I'd like to replace those every 8 to 10 years.
Okay, so let's see what they look like banded, which is a short-term bond for 1 year, and then bonded both of them next year, right? So we get it done.
You just
and
see
then
how
those
it-
tru- And then, so that smooths it out.
Mhm.
But obviously, there's financing involved.
Mhm.
At that point, there was no additional financing going into the future budget, right? Everything was going to be paid out of the general
Okay.
or reserves.
Reserves.
Well, we were putting money into
Yeah, okay.
reserves
Yeah,
for the
right.
vehicles.
So then the next thing is for future other vehicles, right?
Mhm.
We put, what was it, 100,000 in, so there's $500,000 left of vehicles after 500,000 was spent. And the initial idea was, let's see what it looks like with 100,000 in spread over 5 years. We give Zach the authority to spend it basically how he needs to upgrade the fleet.
100,000 from where? From bonds or?
No,
General.
general tax, call tax.
Yeah, obviously.
Now, that may be too much, and so we don't know what it's going to exactly look like, but I just wanted to
It's a
get the
starting
numbers
point,
in.
Yeah,
though.
it's a good way,
Right?
yeah.
Starting
And
point.
maybe 100 grand's too much, and it has to come down to
Yeah.
75 and
Yeah.
slow down,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe it has to come down to 50 and slow down, don't know, but I mean, 50 for 500 grand is 10 years. I mean, it's going to take a long time to get what you need.
Well, seeing as our vehicle's gonna be more than $50,000.
What's that?
All those vehicles, each vehicle is gonna be more than $50,000.
Sure. So what may end up happening is this recognition that if we're going to be funding stuff over a 5 to 8 year window, maybe the right approach is in 2 or 3 or 4 years to band it or do something, right? Or just pay for it out of the general, or who knows. But you got to get something in reserves going with the idea that we're going to be spending this money. And eventually, you got to be ahead of the game rather than behind the game. Right now, we're behind the game. So that was one thought. From a tax perspective, from a reserve perspective, we initially talked about 50,000 coming out as the first thought to pull from the general reserves.
So drawing down the general fund reserve by 50,000 this year? And
I think we settled on 75.
At max, it was max to
I don't
7.
think I did that. I
Did
think,
you did 50?
I think I didn't put any in there drawing down. I think.
Okay, that might be
The
good.
initial numbers, and we can discuss this tomorrow.
Yep.
For this year, we were drawing down the general fund balance,
Yep.
not the reserves,
Okay,
not
that's
taking
right.
from a reserve. That was, it's landing around 65.
Okay.
Moving into next year, though, I am looking to take a little bit from reserve, like 35,000,
Yep.
but it's landing good.
So by
I'm
bonding a lot
happier
of
with the
stuff,
numbers.
When you
by
see the
bonding
numbers,
it,
they
we're
really
pushing a
are
lot of
smooth.
stuff over.
It's smoothing out the use of the
Smoothing it
fund
out.
balance.
It really
It's
is.
smoothing out the fund balance, it's smoothing out the tax rate
Yeah,
increases
yeah,
that
yeah.
the board wanted to see.
Mhm.
The debt obviously is going to do what it's going to do, but it does smooth the debt
Mhm.
in a decent way.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also have debt coming
But
off.
that's where things get a little hicky for me because I'm not a debt accounting person. You know, I'm looking at calculators online at some point, and that's when the board needs to say, can we reach out to Bernie Donigan? But
I think
that's
we should.
something they need to look at for
Sure.
us.
I think that's a good
Because I
idea.
can't, I'm guesstimating,
Frankly.
I'm doing the best I can with
Just to
calculators
get
online.
a sanity check with Don again on it.
Right now, I think it's $2.5 million in debt after
It-
2 or 2.5 years. I
Right,
think
there was
based on our
some
budget,
playing in
that's
the numbers.
perfectly- I want to say it's perfectly fine. I mean, I don't like taking on debt. But the idea or hope would be we get new assessments, revenues come up from assessments.
That's the
Maybe we
big
don't-
change.
Maybe we don't have to do as
Yeah.
much, right, to debt. But we've got 4 major costs, the 2 big trucks and the 2 big roads, that there's absolutely no way we're going to save in reserves to get to the point, before these things break down.
It's the
Or it's
bottleneck.
too late.
Right.
So those big ticket items, we were thinking, hey, hit them on a bond or ban, spread it out over the life of the ownership of the vehicles of the roads, right, to the extent they allow, and then try to squeeze everything else in. Vehicles was going to be 100 grand, and then I think we put in other sewer type costs and some other things. But the idea was to see, with all that, how much did the tax rate have to go up to do it? And if it's too much, then we have to make a decision. Are we not doing things in the capital plan and pushing them out? Or are we going at spending, and we need to find a way to chip it down? And I know it might already be pretty thin, but it's going to be that fine balance. So in essence, this strategy is solving for the tax rate increase necessary to do those things. And then if we don't like it, we back it down.
Yeah, well, it's a great,
Yeah, and I think I'm happier with the numbers that I'm seeing, because obviously, actually, all of the tax increases are down below double digit for the 4 years I'm looking at. So that's huge.
That's huge.
And the fund balance is staying at a relatively comfortable percentage.
Oh, it's better than.
Because I'm looking at both as I'm playing with the numbers.
Right.
And obviously, this is me just playing at the numbers. The board is going to be the one that makes the.
We'll go over it on Thursday, but.
But I'm hoping to have things out tomorrow.
Yeah, so at least you can see it.
I would love to give you a time frame tomorrow. I can't because I don't know where I'm going to be.
Yeah,
And there's one other thing too, the ban for truck 1 or 2, whichever one it was, while we don't have to make payment on it, you put the payment in.
Correct,
Right.
and that's another thing we need to talk about, because putting those payments in, you might get into the budget year, it's not due this budget year, so it might create an extra at the end of the year
We get a bump.
surplus,
Good.
where you could decide to put it into
Put it in
reserve or just carry it in the fund balance.
Okay.
So that could very well, and that's where Donegan's going to come in and say, when you go out to get your financing, where it's going to land.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll
Right.
tell me.
Yep.
So me just putting it in automatically, it might be overinflating the debt
Would
numbers.
it make sense for you to speak to Donegan now, though, about, or do you want to hold off until the Thursday?
Yeah, let's
meeting?
hold off till Thursday.
Well, hang on, I just want to follow through and get the feedback from the treasurer, because we had this conversation before about, are we plugging in the accurate numbers, and do we need to speak to Donegan? That's all I'm just asking.
I'm, as long as the board is comfortable waiting and understand the
Okay.
numbers I'm providing are the best I can take off calculators, and I'm running and trying to
I know.
guesstimate interest rates. I mean, so understand they have, I don't want to say they're fictitious, but they're not the most accurate they could
Well,
be.
we can vet it with Donegan anyway, at some point.
It's
Yeah.
got to be
It'll be
vetted.
vetted with
Close
Donegan,
enough.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
If
so it's
everybody's
enough for us
comfortable
to-
with that knowledge, and I'm making that
That's a-
upfront, I can tell you what our existing debt is.
Mhm.
I am guessing at the,
Well, sure, I mean, it's
Addition.
like
So
anything.
the national average for a high-quality muni for 10 years is 2.45%. Now, if we don't have the underwriting, you're probably looking at 3.25. And if maybe we get a small town, not discount, but premium, you might be 3.3, 3.4.
I've been 3.5.
So that's good. So perfect,
Yeah.
right? So
right.
I think you just stay there and you're good to
Yeah.
go.
Just stay there.
See, all.
I
of
started
those-
at 4.5 and scared the hell out of myself, to be honest. And then I went, I'm thinking we got better rates than
Yeah.
that.
Now, a little longer, you're going to maybe get up to
Yeah.
3.5.
You always do this, but you land on the mark, I'm telling you.
See?
It's uncanny.
All right.
Worst
Okay.
case, we have extra money in the end, we put in reserves and we write now
Right.
anyway, we make 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
So
Get something going.
let me say, I'm sitting, after yesterday's meeting, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with it, because I was freaked last Friday, because I could not get where I felt most comfortable for anybody.
Yeah, and Zach, yeah.
Is the loader lease still an option?
The loader lease is still in there.
So can I comment on that real quick? The loader lease was $110,000 to $150,000 piece of equipment that historically we've always rented or leased. And it's about, we bought. But at the pace of depreciation, the lease at, what, $17,000 a year, just in perpetuity, and these things break down every 3 to 4 years?
Well, this one's been pretty problematic. We've had a lot of maintenance
Okay.
costs with this
All right, so that's no good. So if you lease it and it breaks down, you just give it back and get a new one? How does that work?
one, depending on the issues. I did not dig too deep into
Okay.
the finer points of the lease
Yeah.
and the maintenance responsibilities on it outside of normal wear and tear.
Yeah.
Just because this was just exploratory at the time.
Okay,
So if it's something that we're actually looking at, I can pursue some more information.
I'd wait till Thursday. Wait till after Thursday. You're not gonna, don't worry about it.
So-
between now and then.
We accounted for it if the budget wants to, is, the board wants to move forward with it, it's in there.
Here's the downside to all of this, just for the board, right? In the past, we lumped in the vehicles, 500 grand, basically 2 years in a row, and some of them out $250,000 or 100 and something thereafter. The roads, we had 750 or 650, $1 million, another $1 million, right, for Shane Place. And in this iteration, because you're debt financing $500,000 in vehicles and $2 million essentially in roads, right, maybe it's 750 and $1 million, but, and then taking in Shane Place, and I think we spread it out over year 3 and year 4, what you're gonna see is a lump in the tax hit, right? It goes up in that year 3 and 4, specific to the Shane Place project, which, you know, whatever that looks like, in whatever form it takes. So to the point of trying to express it over the life of ownership of the different vehicles, because you're just financing roads or just financing major trucks, everything else is in the immediate here and now, and that's what the 100,000 of the vehicles would do over a 5-year window, hopefully allow us to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So the $100,000 or whatever that ends up being out of the general fund. So there's still the possibility of sewer funds contributing to that. Plus, each one of those vehicles that are not truck 1 and 2, the $260,000 vehicles, still have a lot of equity. So the resale of those vehicles could also, I know it's impossible to do so until that money has been absorbed into the budget in some fashion, but if we come up short on, let's say, the 1 ton, which is going to be about $100,000 to purchase, fit with everything that we need for it, that money from the sale of the 1 ton contributing towards those costs.
It does in its own way, okay? The revenue will go out, the sale come in, it'll balance out in the budget. It automatically will. It's just, it's treated as a revenue when we sell something. We can't say that's earmarked to that. It just comes in.
It can't be until it's already.
It just comes in.
The goal would be to front end the, call it $100,000 for 5 years, or whatever it needs to get to the point where the vehicles are where we need them to be, and then to decrease that amount by potentially a decent amount, right? Maybe not. And then have it be a more constant in perpetuity, where you're just putting money into the reserves, and as you need it to pull it out, you know it's there.
Ideally, once we got out of this bottleneck.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's what we're trying to do.
And the other thing would be for this board to recognize the cost of fleet management and ownership, right? Have that be in the budget, but not get into the nitty gritty about what are you buying now or when and what. You're just coming to us and saying, hey, here's what I need now, here's the financing versus purchase option, you guys do what you want, and then we finance the funding, right?
Yeah.
Then we'll lean on you for that.
And yeah, that works for me, honestly. I mean, you know, just having at least 1 vehicle a year to be able to start knocking down.
Is that, the idea is to bring the schedule back, get you back on track,
Yeah.
really.
It's going to take a little bit.
It's going to take a
but
bit.
we're working.
Yeah, and again, me putting everything into 24, 25 was just a reflection.
Sure,
of
yeah.
where we
Sure.
are.
Right.
So that's why looking out 4 or 5 years, budget years, it starts to thin out because of those deferments.
Yeah,
that are
right.
there.
Understood. So we're gonna thank you. Thanks, Deb. Oh, you had- you
Yeah, just
sure, of course.
thank you, Dave, and thank you, Dorothea, for going over this too. It sounds like there are a lot of good things that are happening here, which I like. We're talking about the budget for this year and the capital plan in tandem, which I think is a very healthy thing to be doing. I'm really glad that we're taking that perspective. I like the fact that the changes that you're talking about, Dave, are smoothing out the capital expenses over a slightly longer window, when before they were kind of, stacked up in the next few years or so. I think that's important. we're taking less out of reserves with what you're talking about, and I think that's really good too. The last version that we saw was really getting close to the budget policy, and that was not something that we wanted to do, so it's good that we're working out that issue. And it sounds like it's also moderating the tax increases, which is really good. So I don't, from what I'm hearing now, it sounds like all of those are positive changes, and so thank you for pushing on that. I think what's really important now is that since the capital plan in its draft form is really inseparable from the budget, we need to start getting that out in front of the public too. So after you meet on Thursday, hopefully the board will be able to take a close look at this, and I'll take a look as well if you, I'm sure Dorothy will send out the material and I'll take a look at that too. But in meetings after that, having that draft in the packet or something, let's start talking about this, because I don't want to get to a situation where we're voting on a budget that's based on a capital plan that no one's really seen.
So it would go in the packet though as a draft?
Oh, sure, it is a draft.
It's actually been in the last couple meetings in the packet.
But just,
It's
continually going in as
been
just so we notice a draft.
It's been as a draft, it's been in the public documents.
So I'd like to, as close as we can get to adopting this thing, since we're acting on it, we're acting on the belief in this capital plan. If we do vote for the budget, then, I think we need to figure out what kind of a statement of support for the capital plan is appropriate.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say to that end, I think there's some things that are right now embedded in the capital plan that may find their way over to the CEC line item, right? The Rob Richardson capital plan. And there's some things that maybe we don't all agree to. Not sure yet, right? I haven't really judged it for that. But I think what we're coming to find out is the things we are agreeing on are all things that we know need to get done. And we just have to figure out, how to find that.
Yeah. Yep, great, okay, so, thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Thanks for everybody's comments. Did you have an additional comment?
No.
Okay, everybody's good? All right, appreciate it. We move on. Eclipse, hey, there's an eclipse coming up. Yeah, and we did get some glasses in here at Village Hall, just so you know.
I already have my glasses.
Oh.
I got
Book culture. You're ahead of the curve. No, yeah, book culture has them. So we've been talking about, what's going to really happen. We've made you guys aware of some of the meetings we've had with the sheriff. We had a leadership meeting today with Mike Pirro from the school district and with Bill Smith from the town. And we recognize that probably a lot of people are going to want to be in the village and experience the eclipse. And we'll gather along the banks of the canal and probably on the bridges as well. The sheriff's department was saying the same thing. So I brought this to the board before, that the idea of closing Shane Place down, just the way we did for Paddle and Board for a number of years, because it will not be safe. If people are trying to line along the banks of the canal and the cars are trying to get through, that we just want to reroute them. And then Mike Pirro has graciously offered to implement the shuttle from Sutherland, so people can park at Sutherland and then take the bus, just like Candle at Night. We're really using that model because it does work pretty well for everybody in the village. And we're also reaching out, I'm going to be reaching out to the Pickle Factory and to Ted's Fall to see if we can direct parking on that side of the village into their lots. And we'll be putting out information, obviously, for our residents about the eclipse, and also encouraging our residents to walk if you want to go to a viewing area. And then there's also going to be, or bike, there's also going to be a map that Bill Smith is putting together for the village and the town and the school district, highlighting viewing areas for people to go to. So we're hopefully going to be able to direct people and somewhat manage the crowds that are expected. And of course, it's kind of up in the air if it's bad weather. But we have to plan on it. We have to plan on it. So Shane will be closed down by 1 in the afternoon. The eclipse starts at 2. It ends at 4:30. And when did we say we were reopening? 5? 5, I think it was, or 5:30. Yeah, we want people to stay after the eclipse and not, when it starts to lighten up, and not leave, because they're saying gridlocks on all the major roads. And so I'm reaching out also to Lock 32 to see if maybe they can have some music
I
at
was
the
going to say,
pavilion.
people can
You know,
have
kind of
music.
jet it up down there. I know a lot of the
Yes.
business owners are really trying to do some, events for the eclipse too. So that's kind of, really where we are. We're going to have Village Hall open. We're going to have it'll be open for residents to come in, and we're going to have a video loop about the eclipse playing in this meeting room, so you can come in and learn about the science and get a little bit of information, probably make a little pit stop because you're out and about. Zach, you've been great. You've ordered extra porta potties, and we're going to have extra trash receptacles as well, because it's going to be a big event. So we
Are
appreciate
schools
that.
closed?
All schools all over Monroe County are closed.
Wow.
Yeah. And, yeah.
The crew has asked me to speak on their behalf. I don't know if anybody is on there online.
I know one is, and I'm assuming the other one might.
Okay.
Do they want to speak on their behalf?
Well, or do you want to,
When, the afternoon.
is it somebody from the, does anybody want to?
No, they want.
Okay, we have a hand that went up.
We need them, don't we?
Okay, Jason, you're free to speak.
Hey, you guys got me?
Hi, Jason.
Hello?
Is he muted?
If he's muted, it's on his end.
Unmute.
I think I'm unmuted. Am I there now? Oh, what the heck?
Nothing. His hand went down,
Oh, maybe he's having a problem with his computer or something.
maybe.
Is there anybody else?
Zach, you know what's going on, or?
Yeah, do you want to say?
Preference to allow him to comment?
Nope, sounds like they are no longer interested in the conversation because I feel like it's the
A question just came in Q&A. Jason's having issues.
Oh, he's having tech issues?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess he's having technical.
It sounds like they don't want to speak because it sounds like it's already done thing. But what they're interested in doing was being with their family for this event, and that's what they're interested in doing.
So they'd like to take, the crew goes
Yeah.
the afternoon off.
Take the afternoon off, and whether
Okay.
that's done with PTO or working 2 or 9-hour days, the other days of the week that are not the eclipse day. I forget, is it a Monday or Tuesday?
Monday.
It's a Monday. Yeah, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, get 9-hour days to cover the 4 hours of having the afternoon off or using PTO.
So then what happens with opening and closing the road?
Well, that was, I guess,
I mean, how do
It
we
should be
manage,
sorted
how do we manage
Yeah,
thousands of people
right.
coming into our village the way they do with candlelight night, and managing that in a safe way for people, knowing that they're going to be gathering along, invite their families in. I don't know. I mean, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that, this is a gathering place for our community and people in the area.
I'm just speaking.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we understand,
This
but.
is not something that is, to me, argumentative at all. I really understand where everybody's coming from. I could make other plans too, but, there's a safety concern for our village. And, we've just discussed about what this is going to look like with potential gridlock and all of that. So, I don't know, Lisa, what were we going to say?
No, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, it's a safety issue. There are village support, and this is going to be a huge village event, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, their families can come in. I mean, the eclipse actually lasts for 4 minutes, so even if they're working, they could stand there with their family for 4 minutes. But I don't know about taking the whole time off. We just don't have enough staff support to.
Or do you want to stagger the crew?
Well, for the closing roads down, it's going to be all staff on.
Yeah, it's going to be all.
There's no way that we're going to be able to handle this.
Right, we have.
Well, I'm just trying to.
It's either all.
Yeah.
So, to Lisa's point, in the moments before and after, right, it's a 4-minute event.
It's a 4-minute event.
Maybe everybody takes a 15-minute break mean, what's going to happen in a 15-minute?
Oh, I'm not worried about that at all.
Right, so you could have people on call, right, during a window of time where everybody's on site with families, they're here instead of elsewhere. And you give them all an on-call break at the same time, you guys are where you generally would need to be, right? And then after that half hour, you break and you do what you need to from a work perspective.
Well, so with the road closure, we're gonna probably have to post up in different areas to make sure that road closure does not create other problems with traffic, so cars are directed in the way that they're supposed to go. So most likely, everybody's gonna be scattered about directing traffic at that point.
What happens with police or police staff when you close a road like that?
Pardon me?
Do the police get involved in any way, or local? It's just.
They're probably gonna be having their hands full.
Yeah, there really will not be any, like, police presence here,
Okay,
because they're concerned the entire county will literally be shut down,
right.
and self-service will be compromised in certain areas because of the eclipse, and so many people gathering and trying to photograph things, or,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of moving parts that are gonna happen just for the sheriff's office, and they made it pretty clear. Pittsford Volunteer Ambulance will be available, but the sheriff's office made it pretty clear that we will have communication with them. They've set up separate communication in case of cell phone service failure, but they're really going to be in other parts of the county.
Yeah, they're not gonna be in the office.
No presence here.
I appreciate the thought. Is this only a challenge because of the road closure? Or would it be a challenge regardless?
Well, it's gonna be a challenge regardless,
Okay.
especially if we're anticipating, or we're gonna see the amount of traffic that we anticipate.
Okay. So, gosh, yeah, it's hard. There's no way for you to get done what you need to get done with a smaller crew, and it's just.
No.
Right.
And, getting families here might be an issue if we have that many people here already. Like my daughter's done with school at, 3:30, they're allowed to, or I don't know
Schools
what
are
time it
closed.
is, but they're going to, the soccer field, it's part of like the school thing.
Right.
Is everybody in their family is going to a field at the school to go watch it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the family, I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to bring a family in.
Yes.
Understood.
Yeah. You don't see any, there's no reasonable solution that you know of, is there? It's pretty much, it just is.
Offering them the option of having their family with them while they're posted up, directing traffic, at the same time. But
You can't really take a break from directing traffic for a 15-minute window, can you?
I mean, it kind of depends on what the traffic's like. If
Oh, I
people are
think
still
it's-
driving around at that 15-minute point.
Things will come to an absolute standstill.
Yeah.
It will be total darkness,
Yeah.
because we're also going to try to kill some of those streetlights, right? The ones that we can turn off.
The ones that we can't.
Yes, we had that discussion, so
Okay.
that's the thing, we can turn them all off in the back parking lot here for total darkness, because what happens, if the streetlights come on automatically in the dark, people will leave immediately to go somewhere else to view the
Right.
eclipse,
Right.
and it starts to really create chaos. That was what the sheriff's department had said in the meeting, so I was thinking even like candlelight night, you bring your family in, everybody, they move around, they're doing whatever their events are, and you meet up at certain points, and you could meet up and, it's just an option that we're trying to throw out.
I get that. I'm just saying, from my perspective,
Mhm.
the logistics of it are, if we're gonna be closing down the road, then I'm going to need someone set up in the right of way behind the bars.
Understood.
Probably 2 people back there, another person over at the entrance going into Northfield Commons, someone else over by the bike shop, which is pretty much gonna be the entire crew. We have one person taking a half day, which they requested.
So what?
So,
when you're ready.
Okay.
yeah, so that's just, where I'm at with the crew.
This goes back to that challenge as you identified wouldn't be the same if the road was open.
No, I don't think it's just the roads though, Dave. It's the fact that there's going to be people, it's not just road closures that is this issue. It's going to be everything.
Yeah.
Well, if there's crowd management.
Yeah, there's management, there's just stuff that.
Yeah, we have somebody.
Okay, I have comments from Jason.
Oh, what are your comments? Okay.
And then I have a couple comments.
Okay.
Because I know.
Jason says, "The concern is what we will be expected to do with traffic. We have a small crew scattered across a large area handling garbage and traffic issues. Getting around will be difficult. The second concern will be the hours expected ahead and after the event. What is the expectation that the crew must stay until? Traffic could be a nightmare with 4 to 5 employees to try and manage this." One, could we reach out to the town and see if they could assist?
I'm sorry, this just feels like something that's, if Zach is in charge of the DPW, maybe he could work with his staff or come up with a plan and then come back to the board. It sounds like we're trying to make his next area.
First, I think we need a solid plan. We know the road closing, and whatever else is going to happen from that is kind of up in the air. So locations of porta potties is another thing. Whether we get the town staff in here, I'm not sure what their plan is for that day. I don't even know if they're working on it.
I know Bill said they will not be doing any road work, obviously, you know.
Yeah, all normal operations.
Normal operations just are going to be suspended for that time frame. We certainly can circle back with the town. I agree with Jason, I think. Not with Jason, with Justin. I was thinking of Jason online. With Justin, no, that, maybe talk to the crew, come up maybe with a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you look at the alternative of never closing the road and just having the event happen in the village, I think it will be a freaking nightmare.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will be safe for the public.
I agree.
So that's sort of the benchmark, I think, and the conclusion we have. So with knowing that, maybe talk to the crew, maybe come up with a plan, maybe the town can provide a few people, as well. Yeah.
The other thing, candlelight night, we do bring in security.
They're all booked.
Yeah, that's way too late for that.
They are all booked. Believe me, went down that path.
Okay.
The other thing, though, I was thinking of too, maybe we can even reach out to some of the organizations like Rotary, who maybe could have some volunteers help as well.
Honestly.
Very true, yeah.
So, just to work in tandem with other community organizations, because they'll be here in our community.
That's a great idea.
And they can suit up, with it.
Any kind of community sport that we can get.
Yeah.
We have vests.
Yeah, that's.
Everybody all over the place.
Exactly.
That would be awesome.
We have a Rotary meeting tomorrow morning, so I'll talk to Mike tomorrow.
You guys, if you guys want to put vests up, why not?
Let's keep that same waiver on standby, Jeff.
But we can also have Mikey help you. Staff your hall, I don't know.
Mikey's going to have to be completely separated from his normal duties.
And that's
So,
very well.
yeah, we could definitely put Mikey to work.
And honestly, I'll be happy to help.
Yeah, we'll sort it. Well, I think it's solvable. But I agree, go back, talk with the crew,
develop something.
come up maybe with a little plan, maybe.
Yeah, that part's fine, I think.
Okay, so the action item, you're going to speak with Rotary, Lisa.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
speak
you
with
so
her.
much.
Yeah.
That's the option.
What?
Yeah,
What was that?
figure out a way to get them here.
Yeah, the family, yeah.
Right? Or,
We'll have snacks.
yeah.
Jason ended with the more hands, the better.
Yeah, so we'll try to get them
And I think we
We
do
understand
agree with
that.
that. We could even have people, like I know when we had the Harvest Moon Festival, it was the first time in the village. They ended up getting, I think it was 30 volunteers to absolutely direct traffic to park at the pickle factory. This is where they had stations everywhere. And so I think maybe we do mobilize some of our community groups to help as well,
We guys can help out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. We'll sort it, okay?
Yep.
All right, thanks. And
Absolutely.
thanks to everybody and to, Jason as well,
Yeah, thank
for
you.
his input, it's all important, because it's going to be a great event. Okay, next up, member items. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Who's
Zach.
that?
I
Do you
did
have a
just-
member item? Okay,
So I had
okay,
I had a brief member item.
thanks. Jeff's going to go.
Okay.
We're gonna have a great night.
Thank you.
Unless you have a
Jeff.
member item.
Not a member.
I'm done teasing you. Okay, hey, thanks
So-
again, Jeff.
At the last PZBA meeting, it was just an item about a lot coverage issue, not a big deal. One thing that did come up in the discussion was notification of the PZBA members when certain things come up on our agenda. And specifically, I think the mention was local laws. I don't know what the requirements are for notifying the other boards. But I just wondered if there's like an easy change that we could make where like, if there is a public hearing or if there is a local law, we just tell the PZBA. It might just be easier to, again, I don't know what the requirements are, but maybe just saying.
But what, I don't even, okay, Jeff, what do you, yeah, it's just so look, like, I know he's inching out, actually.
Not sure what the question is.
Well, I don't think it's really, I don't know if it has to be like a legal question of what we have to tell the PZBA. I'm just wondering, it seems like they might have an interest if we're adopting a law that affects the village, or if we've got a public hearing on something. Is there a reason not to?
Okay, but how about this? First of all, anybody can sign up to get, they can always get the information online. They always have known that. But how about the liaisons for the board? You could just forward information or request Alexandria to forward it. You're the liaison. I don't think we need to overthink it.
I don't really want to put myself in that administrative position. I would rather have the people handling the notices just also notice the volunteer boards. But if people don't feel like there's any value in telling them when we're considering.
This is not a legal issue. I agree with Justin.
No, it isn't legal, but I'm just understanding they have access to all the information that the public has, everything. They can, I'm on all the mailing lists for, all the meetings. I'm not,
Actually,
thanks, Jeff, thanks so much.
Jeff, I do have a question for you.
Oh, he was almost out the door.
Which is, as the local laws may be adopted, if it affects something in the zoning code, right, or the planning code, when a situation comes up that they have to review an application that applies to a code update that we did, does it automatically pull in to the village code the way that they needed to, or do they have to hunt it down? Meaning if we don't inform them that we did it, they won't find it.
There'll be a delay.
There's a delay. There always is.
Yeah.
It's how it is until it's codified. What happens is you pass the local law like you did tonight. I have to prep it, send it to the Department of State. The Department of State has to review it. When the Department of State gets it back to me, and sometimes that could be quick, sometimes it could be lengthy.
It depends.
Really depends on the Department of State. Once it gets to me, then I send it off to General Code. They put it on the website. It is available under new local laws when they get them updated. And then, like, once a year, I codify them. You want to codify things all at one time. If you do them individually, it's very expensive. Yeah, it's a lot of money. So to minimize that cost, we do it all. But the local law, relative, it ends up there. It could be 2-3 month process. It's not quick.
So it makes sense to tell them about the change.
To give them a change.
Well, or even, all of this stuff is after the law is adopted. I think ideally, we would let them know, to provide input if they wanted to.
Okay, so how do you want the process to look?
So what I'm suggesting is just that if, let's go broad, and if they don't care about some things, that's fine. If we've got a local law that's going to public hearing, we send the notice to the planning board.
So I think the right approach here is.
And also the HPV?
Sure.
Well,
to every board.
I don't know.
So what I would suggest is, do we have a email push ability where we send the village board meeting agenda to every resident on the village list?
Yes, we do that currently.
Yeah,
Just put every PZBA and HPBA member on that list with the village.
The problem with that, I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. They have to confirm and accept it on their end, so we'll have to make sure they do that. Alexandria can try to do that.
Yeah.
But the other problem with that is, although this board's great with using the village email, the other boards aren't fabulous.
It's up to them.
But
It's up
then
to
it's on
them.
them.
We're not in that business.
Okay, I can make that happen.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
But I think there's 2 notification processes that Justin's talking about. One is letting them know that there's a public hearing about an issue that might pertain to
Well,
them.
that would be on the agenda.
Right, but second would be, once we pass the local law, to give them the benefit or the respect to just say, this was done tonight, and just maybe send it to just the two chairs, HPV chair and the PZA chair,
Okay.
as a standard process. That seems pretty simple, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean,
It's simple until
Just the
you
chair?
sit in my chair.
yeah, it's one.
Because not everything is important to either board. I mean, I'm not going to send them.
So
Then you don't have to wean it
I would
out.
say if you're going to send them something after the option, it should be planning code changes or zoning, like
Right,
Just the
Just
specifics.
those.
specifics of what impact on the job.
right.
Right.
So it's just not a matter of course, it's
Yeah.
just, this
What I'm
is
If
going
it becomes
to.
a matter of course, they'll stop looking at it.
But then that makes Dorothea's job even more, because now
They may
she's got
not
to think
look at
about
it
what,
What I want then from the board is, when you pass something, you feel planning, zoning, or HPV.
So we'll direct
direct
you.
you,
need to
please send it out
direct
to us.
Couldn't agree with
Okay,
you more.
all right.
I think that's
I,
absolutely the
I
way to
agree, I think
go.
it's fair.
It should be direction.
So we
from
have
the
to
board.
remember, when we pass the zone,
Just the way we're trying to remember seeker.
I know, right?
I know.
We'll just have to make, remember that, yes.
So we'll do
We'll
that.
make a
Okay.
concerted effort after the
That sounds
fact.
good.
I've tried to do some of that part as a liaison, and
Yeah.
I don't always do it perfectly.
Okay, well, we'll make it the whole board responsibility. Okay, all
Yeah.
right, we'll try to remember that. All
I think
right,
the advanced comments is, you just send them the agenda, and then the post-adoption, we send them the new law.
right, and I think the post-adoption new
I
laws.
think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
We're all in agreement.
all right, sounds good.
Thanks, Jeff. Let's see if Jeff makes it out the door.
All right,
this
Jeff, go
Good
quick.
night.
Thanks.
Bye, Jeff.
Okay. Any other member?
I have
Okay.
nothing.
No, you good?
For now. Yeah, we're good.
Well, okay, then I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Roll call.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lickett?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. We're closing now. Yeah, thanks, everybody.